experience. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our exceptional facilitator for the Certified Nursing Assistant course. Please, I will ask that I'll crave your indulgence for everybody to mute your mic. Mute your mic, everyone, except you are asked to, yes, thank you, except you are asked to comment or something. Thank you so much for your understanding. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our exceptional facilitator for the Certified Nursing Assistant course. This individual is not only an expert in the field, but also a storyteller and a true inspiration. With her guidance and wisdom, we will embark on a journey of discovery, learning the ins and outs of the nursing profession, and developing our skills to provide compassionate care to our patients. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a heartfelt and enthusiastic welcome to our remarkable facilitator and a true champion of compassionate care. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Dr. Mrs. Dorothy Kingsley Etugudo. Dr. Mrs. Dorothy Kingsley Etugudo, you are welcome, ma.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Andy Smart Solutions, in collaboration with MJB Management and Integrated Services. It's indeed my pleasure to be here today. Like you know, I'm always excited whenever I'm called upon by Andy Smart Solutions or MJB Management to actually give a training or present, carry out a training of the health courses. It's always my pleasure. So I'm so happy to be here. I know that already I can see some familiar names, some lovely familiar names that we have just come out of a training we just concluded. And right, they are jumping into the next one. But I want to assure you, as usual, everyone here, that you would come out, you'll be glad you did. You'll be glad you did. So good evening, everybody. Can everyone hear me?
Good evening, Doc. Good evening. Good evening. Good to be here.
Good evening. Thank
yes,
you.
Good evening, doctor.
Okay, I was thinking that it's good evening, everyone. I was thinking it's only Promise that would say good evening to me because you know, we've just come from something else, certified healthcare assistant. But I'm glad everyone has answered to my greetings. It's really a pleasure to have you here. I want to, before we start, because today is the first day, and as it is my tradition, I like to take my time to just go around the preambles before we actually get into what we have. So I can see the very nice names, beautiful names that I had interactions with, some of you and some on the platform. There were those that we're contemplating. Should I move forward or shouldn't I move forward? These people, are they actually for real? You know, and so on. I know you had a lot going on in your minds concerning this training, but I want to tell you that you haven't made a mistake at all. You have not. Sometimes it's good in life for people to take risk. You know, it's not that there are times you just have to take risk. And of course, most of the risk we take actually turn out well. So those people that said, oh, well, I haven't taken any training with Andy Smart. I haven't taken any training with MJB, and I don't know these people, but let me just try. It may work after all. I want to assure you that you are just in the right places. So it's nice to have everyone here. How are we doing? I trust we are all doing great. Are we?
Yes, fine. Thank you,
We are
Doc.
doing very well, please. Thank you.
Fine.
Okay. So now, this is how we are going to go. Like I like to do, I don't like to have lectures just as I have been introduced. I'm a very good storyteller. I like to talk. I like to talk. I like to interact with people. I like to meet people. I like to hear people's experiences because they say experience is the best teacher, but it doesn't really have to be your own experience. It could be someone else's experience that has offered to share with you. So I want to, before we start, because we are going to have to be talking and relating with ourselves for 8 days precisely, you know, and even more. So I don't want us to take it to be that you are in a lecture, you know, to be bottled up and all that. My lessons, I don't like people being bottled up because I don't run the lecture method. Rather, I use the teaching method. I like to teach. I like to flow with people. I like to hear from people. I like to carry people along. So that's how we are going to be moving. We are going to come down from the very high and get to the very low so that we can interface, you know, and share ideas, of which nobody is an embodiment of knowledge. I would love to hear and learn from you as well. The only difference is if I learn from you, if I hear from you, I am not going to pay you for your services. I'm not going to pay you for learning from you, but you, of course, I'll be paid for you learning from me. So that's just the only difference, but every other thing remains the same. Thank you so much. So I would advise, like we already heard, that we should please mute our mics and so that we talk only when we need to talk, but make judicious use of the chat box. Perhaps if I'm talking and you need to ask a question at the spur of the moment, maybe something that I've just said, please put it in the chat box. Occasionally, people that have done trainings with me know that intermittently I get to the chat box to actually see the comments that are there and pause and address them. And also, I would need to be pausing to ask if you can hear me. So never get tired of me asking if you can hear me. Because, you know, adult school, adult education, sometimes we get thinking of other things. Maybe we are at home trying to think what will the children eat, and then we are listening one ear to the lesson. And when I call the name, like I say, Miranda, can you hear me? And that's when you are responding from the kitchen or from outside or something. So we know these things. So it's advisable that occasionally I'll have to ask if you can hear me, and I would really appreciate it if I could get the response. It makes me happy. So thank you so very much. I guess by starting, let me ask you, can everybody hear me? Are we together?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please, we're together.
All right, thank you. So now we want to, without wasting time, we want to look at this particular certified nursing assistant course. And as you know, it's a course that has got to do with health, that has got to do with human life. So I would like to just take some few seconds to ask who is going to build the cards, who is going to set the ball rolling. If you have to answer, you just raise your hand. I'll see, and then I'll beckon on you to answer. I would like to know, because over the years, my from experience and maybe getting to really interface with people that want to take these courses, I know that a couple of us would like to say, oh, I want to relocate. I want to travel out. I want to get visa-sponsored jobs. I want to go for greener pastures. Like, you know, we all want greener pastures. So, but I would just need to walk a mile into the hearts or the minds of one or two persons that would like to tell me what actually inspired you to move into the health sector if you weren't there already. Then if you are already there, what is the brain behind you being in the health sector? Like the brain behind you wanting to be a certified nursing assistant, you know? That's where we are going to start from this evening. So I don't know who would help us. I like interactions a lot, and I wouldn't, if you leave me to do all the talking, trust me, I can talk. I can keep talking and talking and talking, but I wouldn't want to monopolize the training, you know? So who would start? Who is going to build the cards? What actually inspired you, or what is the brain behind you actually wanting to be a certified nursing assistant or getting into the health sector? Okay, someone has said is in high demand now. Okay, that's a beautiful response. Is in high demand now. Thank you so much. I would want someone that would speak out so we can all hear.
Hello, ma.
Okay, hello,
Yes,
ma.
please. Teila.
Yes,
Okay.
good evening, everyone. My name is
Good
Tehila
evening.
Macaulay.
Yeah, Teila Macaulay, go
So,
ahead.
yes. So I have actually been in school and I have studied nursing over 3 years now. and I find medicine fascinating. So I just wanted more training. And when I came across this class, I was like, this is the golden opportunity for me. So I decided to take it because I want to explore and learn more about nursing, medicine, everything that has to do with it. That's my reason.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tehila. That's nice to know that you are already in the field. That's beautiful to know. And I trust that you are just going to make us proud at the end of the day. Thank you, Tehila, for that. Who else? Yes, there was a very lovely voice at the background that wanted to talk. I think Kate. Kate,
Okay,
I'm seeing Kate's iPhone. I don't know if that's... You can go ahead, Kate. Yes. Kate, please, you can go ahead.
Doc, are you sure it's Kate or me? Promise.
Okay, because I saw Kate. Okay, promise, please. I can see your microphone is off. I've seen another person, but let's take you first. Promise. Go ahead, please.
Good evening, amazing people.
Good evening, Promise. Nice to hear your voice.
Welcome. In my own case, I've always had passion for health. I actually graduated 2000 and wasted my years doing accounting and all that. At the end of the day, the Spirit of God told me I was trading on the wrong path. He brought me back to health. And since then, because of the passion I have for health and seeing people, being treated and taken care of, I have so much passion for it that anything that has to do with somebody's health, I hold it passionately. Even sometimes when I see people on the streets, either having challenges or people I don't even know, I go helping them, using my money to buy drugs, making sure they are fine and all that. So my own case is that I have passion for anything that has to do with health. That is just a summary. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, Promise, for that, for taking us a little bit into your, walking a mile into your life. Thank you for that. Yes, I am glad to hear that you have the passion. Just as Tehila said, you have the passion because with everything, anything in life that you do with passion, you do it well. That's what I believe. Whatever you enjoy doing, you derive pleasure in doing. You just do it well. Your best just comes out naturally if you have passion, if you are passionate about a particular thing. So, but I want to say, Promise, that the accounting years that you had is not a waste, because I heard you say you just wasted years. Of course not. You did not waste it. The fact is there is no knowledge that is wasted. Now, if we want to talk about balance sheet, how to balance accounts, how to prepare balance sheets, how to do all those things that as regards profit and loss, calculation of profit and loss and so on, of course, you will be handy to deliver that training, or you'll be handy to put us through or to put anybody through. So you see that it was not actually a waste. It's just that it was for a reason for you to get that knowledge, and now God moved you to another sector. So it's nice to hear that from you. Someone else wanted to say before we move, Hembadun. I don't know if I am correct. I don't know.
Okay. I didn't want to say anything anyway, but because you have called me, let me just quickly
I saw
chip
your
something
mic
in.
off there. All right.
Okay, good evening, Dr. Dorothy. Good evening, everyone.
Please,
okay,
sorry
for
to
me,
cut you. Sorry to cut you, please. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Your name, so that because I like calling people by their names. Please, can you help me with the pronunciation of your name?
Okay.
So
my name is Hembadon. Hembadon.
Okay, Hembadon. Thank you.
That's
So I wouldn't like to.
T from Benue. Hembadon.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I had one T friend.
Okay.
Yes, what's her name? Philomena Kion. That was her name, Philomena Kion. Kyoon.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, please. Thank you.
Okay, for me, I had a first degree in law. And let me not say I actually did waste my time studying law, because I have never practiced it one day. So when, the way, let me just be honest here. the reason why I decided to go into this nursing certified nursing assistant program is because of the situation in the country, and I want to relocate with my family.
Yes.
So I learned that this is what really, obtains, what sells there. I'm being honest.
Yeah,
so it's not as if I have a bit of passion for it, because as the last speaker pointed out, when I see people that are sick or down, I always have this passion, how do I put it, to assist, to help.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why I decided to go into it. For relocation. Yeah, my own is for relocation.
Okay. So thank you very much for giving us that. Thank you. We've had it's nice to hear that your law is equally very, very important. Like I love lawyers a whole lot, and maybe someday I may wish to at my old age, I may wish to now diversify to law. No, I don't mean now, maybe much, much later. I may wish to be a lawyer because I love lawyers a lot. So thank you for that. So I've seen other comments too, other very beautiful comments, the passion, and everything. So I would just like to myself to just share in the next 2 minutes, because we have to move and we have work to do today. So I would like to share with you how I went into the health field, what took me into the health field so many years ago. I got to see my father. I got to see my father sick. I got to see my father ill. I passed through. I watched him every day. A person, I've shared this a couple of times with people on my trainings. I watched him all through my growing up. I've never seen any dull moments. A military officer that is used to commanding other people. He's on how do I put it? That's authority. He takes the position of authority anywhere he goes and all that. So, growing up with that kind of a father, I've never seen a dull moment. In fact, with us, we are even in a way scared of it. We're even scared of him when we bring up, because when he comes back, you just immediately, no matter what you were doing, locate your position with your book. Make sure that you are with your book. Even if you are not reading the book, just hold the book in your hand and just look at it. Then you'll be free. Because when he enters the house, it's like everybody, that kind of thing. So all through my life, I've not seen my father weak. I've not seen any weak moments when he has got to do with him. He's always agile. Even when he's not well, he'll still do as if he's okay. If you even attempt to tell him you are not, he said no, that he's fine and all that. All this military thing and a meal, put together. That's how my father has been up until he had issues. He had a prostate and cancer. He had prostate cancer, and I watched the person I have known all my life. I watched him degenerate. I watched him getting weaker and weaker and losing the authority and losing everything. So I was like, it really gave me some form of inspiration, because I saw him become vulnerable. And that was the moment he needed us the most. That was the moment we were there for him, the moment we would do everything he wants us to do, the moment we were like, oh, as if we could keep his life, like we can just take his life or take him and just put in a container and just close, so that, growing up now with all those kind of, so that nothing will even scratch him, our father. So I watched all those things, but in the midst of all those things, I saw that care was important in actually taking care of a vulnerable person. I also saw that when you show a person love, that's when I got inspired to say, okay, let me get really into and see what is actually the secret of this thing. I saw that as time went on, because of the love we showed him, because of the care, even the doctor came and said, no, this man is putting up a very good fight. He's putting up a very good fight because he knows that you people need him. He knows that he's surrounded by people, a family that loves him. You understand? So it kept him moving. It kept him moving, even though we lost him at the end. But I can tell you that he added so many years to his age, like to the number of years that he would have lived, because of the love that we showered him, because of the care that we gave him, because of the smiles we put on our faces, even when we were passing through those, because of the way we related with him, because we did not in any way make him feel less of a man or less of the authoritative person that he used to be. We didn't take away his, we didn't kill the self-esteem that he had. We didn't, how do I put it? That, like we continue to make him remain in that position that he has always been. That alone That alone made him to struggle. That alone made him to hold on to the thread of life. That alone made him to still hang on, knowing that he was surrounded by people that loved him. And after my father passed on, I developed that passion. I developed passion, yes. I developed, maybe because I belong to International Red Cross, affiliated with a couple of health things, and I started to upgrade myself, to get certifications, to move on. That was what happened to me. Passion really drove me. What I really saw really drove me. And aside that, I've gone to many places. I can tell you that the way you take care of a person that is vulnerable, that is ill, that is sick, will go a long way in prolonging that person's life. 100%. That's why you see many people that have lost it, many people that have gone over there, to a large extent, depends on how they were treated. So I don't need to, whenever I talk about these things, I really used to take time. So I don't want us to take too much of time in this, but overly, the reason I'm saying this is, if you are in this, for this training, and you have made up your mind to be a certified nursing assistant, it is important that I begin to tell you that you have a Herculean task ahead of you, that you have a big job to do ahead of you. Let's put the greener pastures aside. I want us to understand that if you don't have certain qualities, I must say the way it is, if you don't have certain qualities like patience, like being sympathetic or having that empathetic part of you come out when you see people in pain, if you're a temperamental person, if you're a person that has, I don't know how to put it, you just have, the summary of it is, you just have to be ready for the task ahead, because it is not easy. I must tell you, it's not easy. Now, just imagine that you are in a hospital room. Let's just look at it before we get to the slides. Imagine that you're in a hospital room and you see a vulnerable person, maybe a person that is ill, passing through one illness or the other, and staring at the ceiling, feeling all alone, feeling at his or her lowest ebb. You know how it used to be when people actually get sick, and the person is just lying there in bed and staring at the ceiling, maybe grappling with pains, fear, uncertainty of not knowing whether he or she will see the next day. Would sleep and wake up the next day because of the illness. Suddenly, you as a nursing assistant that is attached to that particular facility or to that ward, you walk in with a warm smile and a gentle voice. You greet, "Good morning, how are you feeling today?" Just the action of your face, just the way you express what you are trying to say to the patient, just those little gestures that you may think that are inconsequential, maybe you just do it out of doing sick, can go a long way in helping that patient relaxed, can make the patient feel seen, can make the patient realize that, oh, I'm not alone. I have a shoulder I can lean on. I have people that care about me. Just that alone. Now, why am I telling you all this story? I want you to understand that this is the power of your role as a certified nursing assistant. That is just it. That is your power. For you to be a CNA, it's not all about the money. It's about life. It's about health. It's about humanity. That is it. I'm just preparing your minds before we move ahead. So over the next few days or 2 weeks, precisely counting for 4 days, we will embark on a journey, all of us here. We are going to be going on a journey that goes beyond just you learning the task of a CNA or the skills of a CNA. We will dive into the heart of what it means to be a real certified nursing assistant. Now, you will learn not only how to provide this care, but how you can connect with these people, how you can connect, take note of that word, connect with vulnerable people at their lowest moments. That's just the A to Z of it.
Open it.
So, as I say, you see, I said we should please mute our mic so that we don't have this. Let's see, Adeswa. Adeswa, can you just help us to mute your mic so that we don't have this obstruction, please? Trying to see this one. Okay, so as I was saying before we had that little obstruction, now you will be at the front line of healthcare as a certified nursing assistant. You and you alone you have the unique opportunity to impact the lives of your patients. You are not just a caregiver, you are a source of comfort. Many of them look up to you. You are a beacon of hope for them. And sometimes, perhaps, the only person who truly listens to them, because you know how it is in the hospital. So as much as possible, every interaction you have, no matter how small, can make a world of difference to these vulnerable people. Whether it is helping them with their daily activities, or providing emotional support, or even sharing a smile, just a smile on your face, you are contributing to their healing process. Remember that you are not just caring for them. You are caring for a human being, a person that has a story, a person that had his or her life, that had the social life, had the religious life, had everything working until life happened to that person. Just know that. So as we embark on this journey, let's just, all of us, let's embrace this opportunity to grow as caregivers, cultivate that mindset and that belief or mindset that values human life and understands the impact that you can make in the community. So needless to waste to take more time, let us delve into what we have for today. I'm just going to share my screen right now, and then we'll be on the same page. Okay, so we are just going to see, I'm going to put it in slideshow now, and I'll need to know if we are together so we can move. All right, now I have shared my screen. Please, are we together? Can we?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
if
ma'am,
this
we
is possible, you let me know.
Yes,
all right. So, we are going to be seeing for the next week, we are going to have Introduction to Healthcare. Needless to run down the modules, but those are the modules that we'd have. These are the course outline. We are going to have all these modules, and as much as possible, people don't understand that we have gone past the era of the analog era. We are moving into the digitalized era where technology can do anything. So you don't really have to be within the confines of a classroom. Like some people say, is it not a physical training? It's a virtual one. It's an online training, and it discourages them. No, we've gone past those times where we have all those kind of. So throughout this training, both the physical, I beg your pardon, both the theoretical and the practical, we are going to do justice to it, because CNA is a practical thing. So we'll just be running the theory, we talk about it, we explain it, but I would ensure that we touch all the areas that is necessary. We learn judiciously all the skills that is required for us to actually perform better. Like I said in the group, I was not mincing words. It's as good as the physical training, if not better. So now we want to look at health. What do we mean by this health? Like, excuse me, what is health? Now, we talk about the healthcare, we talk about the health system, maintenance and improvement of a person's physical, mental, and emotional well-being. That is health. Improving your mental well-being, improving your physical well-being, as well as your emotional well-being, because everything is intertwined to actually give you that good health that you give you that sound health that you actually need. So healthcare simply refers to the maintenance of all this we've talked about, how to maintain a person's physical well-being, the mental, the emotional, through different ways: prevention of illnesses, diagnosing illnesses, treatments of these illnesses, as well as diseases as well. So CNAs are a major part of the healthcare team. Certified nursing assistants, you are very important. You may not understand. I don't want to sound, but you should know that you are even closer to the patient than the nurse or than the doctor. That is what I want you to understand. And because you are closest to them, they interface more with you. They see you more than the way they see you are closer to them. They can easily relate to you. They can easily, talk to you, tell you what they're experiencing, things that ordinarily they cannot tell the nurse or tell the doctor. You know how doctors used to be when they come right straight to the point and off they go, So it is very important that you learn what you need to do and you learn it well, so that you can actually impact and touch the lives of these vulnerable people. Very important. Okay. Now, CNAs, like we said, you are a very, very important member of the health team. You relate, you interface with the nurse, because a CNA, certified nurse assistant, works directly and hand in hand with a nurse, with a registered nurse, or a licensed practicing nurse, or a licensed vocational nurse, depending on. You work directly, you play more of a supportive role. That's to say that everything you do, you relate with a nurse. But because you are closest to the patient, you have first-hand information as to how the patient is feeling, or you walk more into the life of the patient more than the nurses and the doctors. Take, for instance, even in your home, in a house setting, I like to give a lot of illustrations. Maybe that's why they call me a storyteller sometimes, but I don't like to have boring sessions. I like to really bring it down and break it down so we'll understand. So intermittently, I'll stop, I'll ask you questions, and then you give me, and be ready to share your experiences with me in the course of we having this training with us all. So they tell you what their challenges are. It's just like in a home setting. Most times, in some cases, I think about 70% case, children are closer to their mothers. Most times they relate to their mothers and tell their mothers what is the challenge. Mommy, I need this. Mommy, can you help me? Talk to daddy to get this and that. So it's the mother's duty to relate with the father. That is more or less how a CNA, certified nursing assistant, is. They tell you what their challenges are. They will readily tell you. They will tell you stories. Sometimes they'll even want you to be around them so they can tell you stories of their escapades when they were much younger, or tell you stories of their life, how they have come, tell you the things, the brave things they did and all that. These are things they wouldn't dare talk to a doctor about, or a nurse. You are closest to them, and they can interface with you. Hence the need for you to connect with them. Hence the need for you to bond with them, so that you'll be able to really help them in the best way that you can. So now we want to look at importance of healthcare. We've been talking about this healthcare. And any course you take that is in the confines of healthcare, whether you are a certified nursing assistant, you are a caregiver, you are a certified healthcare assistant, whatever, anything you do in the health field, it's important for you to note that you are dealing with human life, like I talked about. So let's look at it overly, the importance of healthcare. Healthcare is very important because, like you can see, it promotes physical and mental well-being of a person. That we already talked about it. You understand? It helps the mental well-being. It also helps the physical. It also helps the emotional. Anything that has got to do with a person, to make that person agile and make the person continue to function in the society or maintain good health, is what is healthcare. So it is important also because it helps you when you move, when maybe in the hospitals, when those patients come around when they are vulnerable, or in vulnerable situations, they are ill or they have illnesses, and they are in the hospital. They are there for their health to be taken care of, for them to be checked. Very important. So you see that healthcare is very important. It improves the quality of life and the overall societal health. It supports the economic and social development, and it provides employment opportunities. You see, so aside even the opportunity, the benefit of taking care of people, it also provides jobs. It provides essential services and, of course, employment opportunities for people that need to work, like you and I now, that we are looking for greener pastures, or we have the passion to actually do what we need to do, then it's a place for us to be. As such, by extension, creating job opportunities and employment opportunities for us. Okay, someone is saying I can't connect. Why so? Oh, thank you, Chigozie Nicholas, for your statement, for your comments on the group. It was supposed to be on the chat box. Someone is saying, I can't connect. Why so? Why so? I like to carry everyone along, and I'm wondering why people are saying they can't connect. Just two, but we have a whole lot of people. Perhaps it's network. If you can't connect for any reason, then it's network, because we have a whole good number of people that have connected. So it's surely not from our end. So overall, that's the importance of healthcare. It saves life when through timely interventions and treatments. Like I already said earlier, if you are able to keep tabs on your health, that's why they say health is very important. Make sure you check yourself, people around you, visit the hospital, get access to proper health care. Because most times, most of the illnesses that people have, the illnesses that these patients that you'll be interfacing with have, is as a result of the fact that maybe they didn't realize, they didn't check themselves often as to know when they actually had okay, someone has helped us. Off your phone and put it on again. Yeah, please. I don't know how to help that, Emmanuel, Sarah. I like to carry everybody along, but I think that's a good advice, Mildred. Thank you for that. Off your phone and then put it on again to help us. All right, so let's go to the next slide that we have. I need to know whether my slide is clear enough. Is it clear enough? Do we have any challenges? Can you see?
Very clear from here.
Very clear, ma'am.
All right, thank you. So now we want to look at, we've talked about
very clear, ma.
Thank you. So we want to talk about the importance of healthcare. What is healthcare? We've talked about that, and we've looked at the importance. Now, healthcare primarily is divided into three. 1, 2, 3. We have the primary care. We have the primary care, primary health care. We have the secondary health care, and then we have the tertiary health care. Very important. We can divide it into three main groups. Now, primary health care. Now, I want to break it down. Primary health care is, like you can see, there is the first point of contact for individuals. For instance, if I have headache now, or I have, I'm not feeling well, the first place I'll go to the hospital. And of course, it is the primary health care that I'll visit because I don't have a serious challenge. It's the first point of call. I'm getting there. It's there. I'll now be checked and maybe diagnosed of any further, whatever, so it's the first place you go. If I don't know who is here, okay, I like to call Promise, okay, maybe Adeswa is having perhaps malaria or having symptoms of malaria. She'll reach out, she'll go to the hospital, and of course, it's the primary care, that's primary health care that will take care of her. That's the first stage, where you have the GPs, that's the general practitioners, you have the nurses, you have the dentists, and then that work in the primary care. That's the first point of call. I want us to understand. Now, there are some features, there are things that will help you know whether this one falls under primary health care or secondary or tertiary. Now, what are the key features for this primary care? Accessibility. It's accessible. It's very easy. You just walk. The next thing, you walk into a hospital, you get you pay for your card, and pick your card if you are not already an old if that's not your, like a family hospital, if you are going there for the first time, and even if you are not, if you've not gone there for some time, they'll sort the files and bring out your files and all that. So that's about the primary healthcare point. It's easily accessible. It's usually provided in local clinics, community health centers, like we have some around, or family practices. Now, it is designed to be easily accessible to everyone. It's designed in such a way that just anybody that has any challenge can just walk into a primary healthcare setting, to go and be treated. Now, primary care healthcare providers, we have the family doctors, maybe the nurse practitioners, pediatricians. They handle a wide range of health issues, from maybe routine checkups, you just want to have a checkup, to minor illnesses and maybe injuries. So you see that one is like the lowest level, which is a primary care. You just move in there. And this particular level, another feature of it is that it emphasizes preventive care. It emphasizes preventive care. What do I mean by preventive care? Such as maybe vaccinations. You have to be vaccinated against measles or against hepatitis or any of those vaccinations. They are preventive. Then the primary care, they also carry out the preventive care. That is, they help you prevent most of these illnesses by giving vaccinations, doing screenings, maybe health checks, health screenings, and also education on lifestyle choices. Primary care also charge of that. They educate you on your lifestyle choices, and so on. So now, in the primary care setting, there's another feature, which is continuity of care. Remember, we talked about the comprehensive care. There you get to have your checkups, you get to have your minor, where you go when you have minor injuries and maybe illnesses. That's the primary health care center. Now, continuity of care, they provide or often build long-term relationships with patients. Like now, you may have a family doctor, maybe a family hospital, where you can just, your child just have a little malaria, and off you go. I'm taking you to the clinic. That is it. You build relationships. Most times, that's what results. Excuse me. There will be built relationships, and their overall health will be managed or coordinated in this area, in this primary health setting. Now, I need water.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry. Drink water.
Have done so. Thank you. I don't know. It just started not too long. All right. So if you feel unwell, for example, this is just an example. If you feel unwell, for example, my Mildred here feels unwell, she would first visit a primary care center, like I said, see a doctor who would assess her symptoms, will ask her how she's feeling, will check her, and maybe provide a treatment or refer her to any specialist if needed. So that's just an illustration. I want you to really understand, because sometimes you may be asked to distinguish between the two, or you should know the difference between the three. Hence, I'm taking time to explain. So we also have, that's for the primary health care or primary care. Now we have the secondary health care too. Now, the secondary health care refers to specialists, specialized medical services provided by health professionals who do not have direct contact with patients, but are referred by primary care providers. For instance, maybe you walk into a primary care center and they check, do all the things they need to do, and observe that you are having issues. Maybe someone, I don't want to mention anybody on the platform because we don't wish anybody ill, but maybe someone, Joy, maybe they say Joy has Joy has a problem, and she needs to see a specialist. So that specialist now is moving from the primary care setting to the secondary care setting, where you have been checked in the primary care setting. You have been told this is it and that is that. The best thing to do, we are referring you now to see a specialist in that area for further check. So within that period, when you are referred to the secondary, to the higher, call it the higher, just like primary school up onto the secondary school, that's just the way it is. So they direct you to see maybe a cardiologist, or maybe to see an orthopedic surgeon, depends on whatever the challenge is, who focuses on some areas, some specific areas of health. Now, patients usually need a referral from their primary care provider to see a specialist for more advanced care or treatment. So you see, that's to tell you that sometimes in the primary setting, there are some forms of illnesses, there are some forms of ailments that would need a higher knowledge, that would need a specialty or an area of a specialist, I beg your pardon, or specialty in that particular area. So you'll be referred to the secondary care. That's where you have the gynecologist, you have the neurologist, you have the oncologist, you have the cardiologist, and so on and so forth. Specialists in their own field. You get them in the secondary care. And there, they often it's always treatment. It involves treatment for specific conditions or diseases and may require hospitalization. Maybe that patient has to be hospitalized for a period of time to be monitored. The specialist has to keep checking and monitoring to see what can be done or to help with the treatment for that person. So if your primary care doctor finds that, maybe, for instance, finds that someone has a heart issue, maybe you go with a problem, they refer you to see a specialist, and then the specialist finds out that, oh, you have a heart issue, they might refer you to a cardiologist for specialized evaluation and treatment. That's where the secondary care comes into it. So now let's get to the tertiary. You see, it's step. It's like you climbing a staircase. From the first step, you need to go to the second step. The first step leads you to the second step, refers you to the second step, and you get to the second step where you see the people that will analyze and tell you what it is. You see the specialist involved. So now we are moving to the third step, which is the tertiary healthcare. Now, the tertiary healthcare is highly, take note of that word, highly, is highly specialized. It's a highly specialized medical care. Most times, it often involves advanced procedures and treatments. For instance, we talked about that heart something. We said someone has a heart issue directed to the secondary care to say specialist. Now, in the tertiary care, if someone has a heart problem, the person could be referred from the secondary care to the tertiary care for a heart transplant. That is where that person has to, the final stage of the treatment, where the person has to be given a heart transplant, maybe a transplant surgery, and has the necessary resources and expertise, the equipment that are required, advanced care, advanced procedures for taking care of these issues. That is where it is done in the tertiary setting. So primarily, I just want to, because I like people to understand everything that I have said. In a nutshell, summarily, I'm just going to give you distinctions between these three briefly. Now, primary care is the first contact. General health maintenance, preventive services, ongoing care, all those is found in the primary health care confines. Then we have the secondary health care, specialized care provided by specialists requiring a referral from the primary care. That's the secondary, and often for specific health issues. Then the tertiary care is for complex health problems, often requiring advanced procedures and multidisciplinary teams. That's most times it could be maybe they have to carry out surgery, they have to maybe surgery, take off maybe a fibroid or a kidney transplant or anything like that. Those hospitals, those settings are specialized for advanced treatment, for advanced care, for surgical operations, for things that are advanced. So practically, in summary, the healthcare system is organized into these three groups, each serving a distinct purpose. It is important that you understand these levels so that you can navigate this health system that you are actually going into, ensuring that your patients, the patients in your care or your patients receive the right level of care for their needs. Very, very important. So it's even in as much as we are not doctors or we are not nurses, but like I said, you are actively involved in the healthcare team. So as such, you need to understand the difference between these three, because you too can also educate your patients, or you can equally educate someone that doesn't know that, oh, you're supposed to go here, or you're supposed to be referred to this part because of this challenge you have, and so on and so forth. So I don't know if I have made any sense. I don't know if you understand this before we proceed. If there's any question or any contribution, thank God we have people that are already in the nursing field here. So if you have any contribution, I welcome contributions. Nobody is an embodiment of knowledge. So if you have a contribution, please do not hesitate to share with us. Do we have any question, please? I'm checking the chat box. Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Kate. And Fumi Jerry, thank you. Thank you for asking me to drink water. Don't mind that cough. I have to do what I have to do. So I don't know. Do we have any question? Please, I need responses so that I will know I've not been talking to myself, because, you know, over time, I have had situations whereby I'll talk to myself. That one used to be network. I wouldn't know that the network is troubleshooting. And I'll just be talking to myself and doing the explanation and just talking, only for me to stop at a point and discover that I've been talking to myself all through. And there is no illness that is as bad as that. There's no illness. I don't even want to be ill. So there's no illness that is as bad as you talking to yourself and you thinking you are talking to people, but you are talking to yourself because of network. So that's why I will need to know if everybody can hear me, if we have any question. Do we?
Yes, please. I have a question, ma.
All right, please do ask, sir.
Yeah. So my name is Matthew Adebayo.
Okay, Mr.
Um,
Debayo.
yeah. You are
Okay.
hearing my voice for the first time, ma.
Yes. I saw your name, Matthew, with one T. So I was
Yeah.
like, I was thinking I made a mistake because I said, but I used to know Matthew. I was just,
WT, right?
yeah. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Sorry, I missed the part where you were giving us the examples of this division of health cares. You know, you said they were divided into three:
Yes.
the primary health care, the secondary, and the tertiary. So I don't know, maybe you can take us back to where you were giving us the examples.
Okay.
Thank you,
All
ma'am.
right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Matthew. I know that there are a couple of people that heard me. So let me use your question to do an evaluation. Let me use your question to do an evaluation to be sure that at least someone got me. So please, on the platform, who is going to tell us what I said? Because I think Mr. Matthew wasn't able to pick us that time, maybe network. So who is going to help us? Someone should help us to explain the difference between the three healthcare, the three groups. Yes, please. Go ahead, Taylor. Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, Taylor, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, yes. So you started off with the primary healthcare, and it's very simple. So the primary healthcare is the first point of contact for every patient. That is, let's say, our pharmacy. Like, for example, if you go to a hospital now, you have the GOPD section. That is where patients enter to get their vitals checked and maybe just wait to see the doctor. So that is the first point of contact. It is easily accessible by
Everyone.
patient.
Yeah.
It is not something you have to or you have to wait for a specific time or they'll give you a date for you to come. You can come that day and get seen in a few minutes. So that's primary. So it's easily accessible. Then for the secondary healthcare, that's where we find our dentists, we find our neurologist, we find our what they call them again, gynecologist. So that's where we find all of those ones. Those ones are not easily accessible. You have to book an appointment with them. Like I said, for the primary, it is easily accessible. For the secondary, it is not easily accessible. You have to book an appointment. You have to given a specific time to come back to meet those specialists. And then for the tertiary healthcare, if you go to, for example, National Hospital in Abuja, if you go to the hospital, you will find the inpatient medical ward where you can find patients that are being hospitalized. Those patients, you find them on 24/7 care of the nurses. So that one is tertiary because it is a long distance away from just easy access with the doctor. The doctors always have to be on your case to make sure that your health is getting better, or if it's getting worse, they have to monitor you. So that one, they'll make sure you're on proper care. And also patients that go through surgery, like if someone is going for a tumor removal or for fibroid removal, that is tertiary healthcare. Thank you, Ma.
Good. Taylor, thank you. You've done justice to it. So I guess your network was very fine when we were saying this, and you're also speaking from the background of coming from the hospital as a nurse. So thank you, Taylor. Mr. Matthew, please, I don't know if that has actually answered your question. I guess because network can be funny sometimes. I trust you be able to get that, sir.
Yes, thank you, ma. I actually get the explanation. I just need examples under those
Okay.
the things you have listed. So I think she has done justice to it. Thank you very much, ma.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Mr. Matthew. Thank you too. So I think we can just move to the next slide if we have done justice to this one. All right. So healthcare settings and professions. We have different healthcare settings. We have the hospitals, we have the outpatient clinics, we have the long-term care facilities, and the community health centers, the home health care. We have this. Yes, I forgot to say this. I think I just talked and gave the stories and I forgot to say this, please. We are supposed to end this training by 9 o'clock. So by 7:30, yes, by 7:30, started by 6, so 1 hour, 30 minutes. By 7:30, we will take a break. We'll take a break so we can just stretch our legs. I know we may want to just grab or do something. So we'll just take a break of 10 to 15, okay, say 15 minutes or 10 minutes. Let's say a break of 10 minutes to 15 minutes. Let's just see how it goes. Before then, I'll notify everyone. So we just stretch our legs. So, Sarah, Emmanuel, it's nice to have you. You were actually having issues logging in. I'm glad you've joined us. Hello, Sarah,
Yes.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good
Okay,
evening.
Sarah. Good evening. Nice to have you. I was a bit worried that you couldn't log in. I guess it was network. Okay.
Yes, the network was bad earlier, but
Okay. So now, right now, we are going to be looking at the role of a certified nursing assistant. This is important and very, very, very important, because who are you how can you actually carry out a particular duty when you don't know what you're expected to do, when you don't know your role? So it is very, very important for us to sit tight and just look at this. We are going to be looking at it together. What is the role of a certified nursing assistant? Like I had said earlier on, a CNA, a certified nursing assistant, you have a very big role to play. You have, I don't know how to put it, you are like the anchor point in the health thing. You understand? So you have a big role to play. You have a lot of things that you do. Now, what do CNAs do? Assisting patients with activities of daily living, we call it ADLS. You assist your patients with activities of daily living, like taking their bath, helping them for those vulnerable ones, depending on the level of assistance that they need. Now, thank God, ADLS is one of our modules when we would really now dissect it and before the practicals, and we'll take a look at these different duties, bathing, what to do when you are bathing your patient, what to do when you are feeding, and all this. We'll actually look at that. So it's one of the duties of a CNA. You have to carry out activities of daily living, help your patients do all that, monitoring and reporting changes in the patient's condition to the nurse. Now, I need to pause here. You know, when you deal with these patients, like I said, you are reporting directly to the nurse. You are not expected to do everything. You have your job description. You have, at least now you are learning. And even when you get a job as a CNA, of course, you'll be put through, you'll be told your duties, like you know your duties already after this training. So we are trying to look at it. One of the things you need to do is to check your patients, monitor them, have a one-on-one, interaction with them, connect with them, monitor them, feel them, know when they are not doing better or when they are passing through one thing or the other. Whatever changes you see, it is your duty to report to the nurse. That's number one of the things that's why you are even there, because the nurse is not going to be able to firsthand get to see these things. You are the one. You are the one they will relate with. You are the one they connect with. You are the one they interface with. So you have to observe them and report any condition, any changes in their condition to the nurse and other healthcare providers. Very important. Maybe you are bathing them, you observe bruises on them, or maybe bed sores, or maybe anything that is out of the ordinary. It is for you to report immediately to the nurse. That is one of the major things that you need to do. Providing comfort and emotional support too. That's another one, emotional support. You cannot be a nurse and be grumpy. A lot of things happen in our healthcare system, honestly, a lot of things happen. Those of us that have been to the hospitals and maybe we've had one thing or the other to do, maybe someone in the hospital, and you get to see some things happening. Someone like me I'm already in the health field, I weep sometimes when I see these things happen. It gets me, sometimes I weep. I'm not exaggerating, but I really, really weep when I see how patients are treated. Especially in some places, in the public is even a little bit better. But when we look at the government setting, I don't know. The way patients are being treated calls for concern. That's why the more we have health trainings, the more we can actually create this awareness, sensitize people, begin to let those people that are losing guard, that have loose guard. I don't know whether it's loose guarded. I don't even know what to say. That are not even aware of the things they learned. You know, it's better you keep reminding them. It's like maybe a woman that marries and she needs to still be reminded of her vows. That is how it is. So in the line of your duty as a nurse, as a medical, someone in the health field, you need to be reminded, because maybe sometimes most of the people that I come across when I actually go around the hospitals, it makes me to weep. You see the way nurses behave, you see the way they don't have that patience with the patients. They don't even have the right skills and the right attitude to portray in that particular field that they are. That's why I started by saying that passion is everything, because with passion, you do everything you do with gladness. You do everything with happiness. It's just like anytime I'm asked to give trainings in health, I'm always very happy. Like it just comes out of me, because I find I derive pleasure in doing it. So anything and everything that we enjoy doing, we'll do it well. It's very important to connect with these patients emotionally. Those people that are vulnerable, it's just like some of us that have elderly parents, maybe aged grandparents. You know that one thing they really love, let's not even talk about the illness or the vulnerability this time. Let's say on a very fine day, if you have elderly people now or people that are ill, you know that what they want is attention. Sometimes they want you to just sit with them and let them just, tell you stories, or you just tell them something that makes them happy. And that way you cannot imagine how therapeutic that particular action can be to them. That is how it is. Likewise, these patients need emotion. They have emotions. They need that emotional support because they are going through a lot. Even as a person that is healthy and healthy, maybe you don't have any challenge, you don't have any illness, you still know that you need support. When it comes to, you need a lot of support. Let alone people that are struggling with a whole lot of things. They're struggling with one illness or the other. That is when they need support the most. So you as the CNA, you are there to give them that shoulder to lean on. The beautiful thing about these health trainings that I really, really, I don't know, people that decided not to take the training, well, you are not only going to, whether you end up as a CNA or not, whatever you learn on this platform, there are things that will go with you for life if you make good use of them in any field that you find yourself. Because knowingly or unknowingly, you may not be a certified nursing assistant, but you have been carrying out caregiving duties. Mothers, you have been attending to your children. Wives, you have been attending to your husbands when maybe they are not feeling well or something. Like vice versa, husbands too. So in everything about life is about care. It's about having a person to talk to. It's about having that shoulder to lean on. So if God has put it in you to play a role in the life of another person, in helping a fellow human being to maintain a good health and maybe to get better, I think it's an honorable thing, and of course, an honorable profession. So if you are there, it is important that you show emotional support to these patients. Some of them may be going through a whole lot. The pains alone, they need your support. Aside the pains, their self-esteem could be trampled on, because these are people that must have maybe had their own lives. They had everything going on for them, and all of a sudden, life happened to them. Maybe one illness or the other, they are just relegated to the background. They are just made to stay in one place. And the things they were doing for themselves, someone will now have to be doing the bathing them. Someone will now have to be feeding them. That alone can temper seriously with their self-esteem and their dignity. So it is good for us to ensure that we help them. We give them the emotional support. That is one of the rules, the duties of a CNA. Help these patients too to receive high quality and compassionate care is still the same thing that we've talked about. When you are caring for them, do not frown at some of us. I've gone to a hospital where one is a nurse, this time a real nurse was trying to attend to a patient, and the patient saw the bed, you know, had this urinary issue, incontinence. So she saw the bed. And then if you see the way the nurse reacted, if you see the way what the nurse did, see the way she was like, didn't you know you were supposed to just, and that was this exact time I was entering the clinic with the medical director. But it was already too late. She could not just hide what she did, because she didn't immediately sense that notice that we had entered. You know, and I saw it and I felt so bad. I told her that's wrong. And this was an elderly woman. And the woman felt as if the ground would open for her to enter. You know, this how the woman felt embarrassment written all over her. I mean, the lady that the elderly woman that actually messed up the bed. So why am I saying so? That was not compassionate care. These things are things that we should learn. We should imbibe. We should put it in us. Because why I'm saying so is that BCC UK, when we train people, God willing, we've had success stories, and none of them have fallen our hand. Because I try in my own way. And when you go for internship and when we do the practicals, to ensure that I break everything down, I do justice to it, so that anywhere you find yourself, let that compassionate part of you come out. Do not frown. Oh, mess the bed. See what I'm to do. Oh, maybe in the process of doing, you know how it can be when people are ill. So all these things, be compassionate. Be compassionate. Let that humanitarian side of you come out. Now, serving as a vital link between patients and the healthcare team. I cannot overemphasize that point. I had already talked about it. You are a very strong link, interface between the healthcare team and the patient. So you have to do your job judiciously and then communicate. So overly, these are some of the direct duties. I had to bring this up so that you can see it at a glance from the written aspect. These are the direct duties of a certified nursing assistant. Taking vitals, very important. Pardon? Is there any challenge, Adeswa? Okay, you've muted your mic. Your mic was off. Was on, rather. So, taking vitals, examining patients, and doing all this. I want to, those that have worked in the hospital, I wouldn't know whether one or two persons are here, but nevertheless, let me not ask, so that those that don't have the knowledge, as in have not worked in the hospital, can learn. So these are primarily some of the things that we do as certified nursing assistants, your duties, your direct duties. You take vital signs, which we are going to learn. We are going to see the practice. You examine patients. You communicate effectively. You assist patients with eating. You prevent infection. You follow the proper ethics to avoid the spread of infection. Proper wearing of hand gloves, proper way of donning and doffing your gloves, hand washing, hand hygiene. You clean patients' rooms. You provide toileting assistance, and so on and so forth. Someone had asked me this question. The other time when I was having the CNA, someone asked me this question. They said, obviously, a person that just migrated from another field into the health sector. So the person asked me, ma'am, please, are we supposed to be mopping? Are we going to be mopping the ward? Is that part of our duty to be mopping the ward and the cleaning? I laugh. Now, you need to have heard how the person asked the question. It was somewhat funny because we have cleaners. So the person was like, does it mean that we'll become cleaners? I told the person, no. A CNA is not a cleaner, is not a janitorial staff. A certified nursing assistant can clean the patient's room. You know why? Because your major duty is to ensure safety for your patients, is to ensure your patient's well-being. So if you are attending to a patient that mistakenly soils the floor with water, or there is water on the floor, of course, if you have the interest of the patient at heart and the patient's well-being and safety is paramount to you, I don't think you need someone to tell you to actually mop the floor before you do. That's what I answered the person. Or you reach out for the cleaner or the janitorial staff to actually come and do the cleaning. So it doesn't mean that you are a cleaner, but anything and everything that you will do, because if you leave that water, someone else, for safety reasons, someone can slip and fall. And it could make that place messy and dirty in a hospital environment. So if the cleaner is not handy, there is absolutely no crime in you mopping the floor. So I just remembered that now. So when I saw cleaning patients' rooms, so it's ideal. You lay the beds, you help dressing the beds, as we are going to learn proper bed making as one of the skills of a CNA, and also provide toilet assistance as required. The kind of support that is actually required, you provide it, because not everybody is, we all have, people are different with their different illnesses. The kind of support that patient A needs may not be the same that patient B needs. Maybe patient A may be having maybe mobility issues, cannot actually walk, cannot do most of the things for himself or herself. So you will have to do more work. Then if patient B can actually do things for himself or herself, they'll just need a little bit of assistance. So you know that both of them don't have the same level of assistance. So, but it is important to note that you tailor every need, every care to the person in need. You tailor, it's just like the clothes that you sew, that you have to be measured and it fits you when you wear it. That's how. So care for individuals, different. People are different. So are their preferences different. So are their health conditions different. So is the level of assistance different. So you need to know the level of assistance that each patient needs so that you would help within that level of assistance, and you will not take away the individuality of that person, or take away the preferences of that person, or take away the dignity of that person, or do the things that ordinarily the person can do for himself or for herself. So practically looking at these things, it's holistically, this is the duty, or these are the duties of a CNA, of a certified nursing assistant. Now, it depends on the country that you may work, and it depends on the policies. In some of the settings, they allow CNA, certified nursing assistants, to actually administer medications to patients, I beg your pardon, to patients. Depends on the state regulation, depends on the laws concerning that place. There are some that will permit CNAs to actually give medications. And then there are some laws that would not allow CNAs to give medication. So it's a two-way thing. It depends on where you are actually working, and it depends on the knowledge that you have. If you've acquired certifications that covers you being able to actually give medications to patients, this is very, very important. So at this point, I don't know if you have any question or if you have any other contribution. Is there any other duty of a certified assistant that is not here that I must have omitted? I would like to hear, because I don't like a very, very quiet atmosphere where we don't contribute. Do we have any question, please? Or do we have any thing would like to share, any experience would like to share? Maybe something you saw in the hospital, or something that that has been going on for some time, within the hospital setting or the health field that you are privy of.
Yes, I have a question now.
I have a question too.
All right. Let's take the man first. I don't know if it's Mr. Matthew. Mr. Matthew, please.
Yes, as the man of the house.
Yeah. Okay, sir.
You made mention of ADLS the other time, which I've never been into nursing career before, or profession. So I don't know all these short
abbreviations. Okay, or acronym.
Then secondly, you were discussing about healthcare settings and professions or professionals before you jump to the role of a CNA in health. So, and there were some things I wanted to understand about the healthcare settings, like this outpatient clinic. I don't understand. The long-term care facilities, I don't understand that as well. I think I understand the remaining three: the hospital, the home health care, and the community health centers.
All right, Mr. Matthew, thank you. That means I'm very glad that you are actually following me step by step. I'm glad. You know, many men think that, this CNA thing is a woman's thing. Or, hey, I've had a couple of people say, I wanted to do it too, but I think my wife should do it. I think it's more of a woman's thing. So I just smile. That health is not a woman's thing. Health is both a male and a female. So I'm really, really glad to have a man that is actually very, very interested. Thank you, Mr. Matthew. So ADLS simply means activities of daily living. It's an abbreviation for that. Activities of daily living, like bathing, like brushing your teeth, the things that you know that are important to that you do it every day. Taking your bath, going to toilet, grooming, combing your hair, applying your cream, all those things that we normally do. So activities of daily living, you are expected to be carrying that out on your patients or helping your patients with those activities of daily living as a certified nursing assistant. So ADLS means activities of daily living, but nevertheless, like you have the course, the course outline. When we get to that module, we have activities of daily living as a module on its own in this training. So you get to see it, but that's the full meaning of it. Then you talked about outpatient. We have the inpatient and we have the outpatients. Outpatients are those for the patients that are actually maybe just coming to get medication or whatever in the hospital to come and see the doctor, do whatever they want to do, and they're out. That's why they call them outpatient. They're not hospitalized in the hospital. So that is primarily it. Then you talked about, I think, outpatient. What else did you say? You talked about Mr. Matthew, you said outpatient, and then which other one?
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to press my phone. It's not pressing. So sorry for answering you. I talked about long-term care facility.
Okay. So now, long-term care facilities, that's, how do I even explain to you that? Facilities that people stay for a longer time. That's from the word long care, for facilities where people have to stay for a long time. They are admitted and then they are checked upon and so on. So that is the long-term care facility. You talked about outpatient. Okay, I'd explained that it's a patient who receives treatment or at a hospital or clinic without staying overnight. Sometimes you go to the hospital and they are saying, oh, maybe your blood pressure is too high or this and that you have to be in the hospital. So that is outpatient. Outpatients, I beg your pardon, is the one that comes. That's you come for the treatment and you go. You don't stay in the hospital. That's outpatient. Inpatient is the one that stays. It's just opposite. Opposite of out is in. Then we talk about long-term care facilities. There are facilities where people actually stay, stay overnight. And maybe, let's see, I think network will.
Hello, ma. As a CNA, as a qualified CNA, ma, are we expected to give injection?
I think her network is giving her problem. She's not online yet.
Ma, as a CNA,
We can't hear you, Mao.
We can't hear your question, ma.
It's like her network is giving her problem, so she's not online.
It's everybody's network.
hello, ma. Hello, doctor.
She's not with us.
She's not with us. It's like her network
Yes,
is giving
it's
her
network.
problem,
It's
so
our
she's
network.
offline for now.
Yeah, it's our network.
It's network. It's network. She will join us. It's network.
Uh-huh.
Hello, can you hear me? Network, oh, Jehovah. Hello?
Hello, ma'am. We can hear you, please.
I can hear you.
Can hear you.
I hear you now.
Thank God. I think my network decided to be funny. Thank God. God has been faithful to us since. Okay, so sorry about that break in transmission. I couldn't hear anybody and I was talking. So that's it. Mr. Matthew, I don't know if you heard me or if network locked us out. I said outpatients are patients that actually come for treatment and then go. They don't stay overnight. They are not admitted in the
Hello?
hospital. Can you hear me?
Hello, doctor. I missed the outpatient part, please. Can you explain that again? Outpatient.
Okay. Outpatients are patients that come to the hospital. Maybe you just go there for treatment and then you are not admitted. You just come, they are done with you, give you your prescription, give you your drugs, and you go. So outpatients are patients that are not admitted in the hospital. While inpatients are patients that are admitted. Maybe they have come, maybe due to one thing or the other, their blood pressure, or they need to be admitted so that they'll be taken care of. That is the difference, in and out. Out is the one that just comes and is not admitted, while in is the one that comes for treatment and has to stay there on admission. So that is those are the terms they use to distinguish between the two. Is that okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, someone wanted to ask me, someone was saying something about injection before network or so.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Can you ask again? I didn't hear you very well.
I said, Doctor I said, is it advisable for an health assistant, a CNA, to give injection?
Okay,
Are
now,
we qualified to give injection?
okay, the fact is this. I want us to understand what I'm going to say because this question has come severally. It depends on, first and foremost, it depends on where you work. That's one. In some places, CNAs are, in some settings, in some countries, CNAs are permitted to give injection. But in most, if you say maybe one whole, say 3/4 of the countries do not allow, CNA ordinary is not supposed to give injection, except, take note of what I mean by except you have the knowledge, you have the right knowledge. That's, you have the certification, you are qualified, you are able to do it before you are allowed to give injection. But on a very fine day, a CNA is not supposed to give injections. Remember, when I was talking about this, I think one of the slides before this one, I did tell you that medications, administer medications, that's the same, in the same line of giving injection, administering medications. It is not in all settings that they permit administering of medications. In fact, it's just a few settings. And before a CNA administers injection, it must have been proven that you have the right knowledge, you have the right experience, you know how to go about it before you actually do it. Many times in the course of me doing this training, and maybe on Facebook online, I get to see so many things going on, anomalies. Sometimes CNAs are taught how to insert, how to do, how do we call it, phlebotomy. That's how to give, maybe to remove, extract blood from the body, you know, how to give injections, how to do some kind of procedures. No. If someone does not have the right knowledge or the right certification, a CNA is not supposed to do that. Practically, majorly, the duty of a certified nursing assistant is to help patients with ambulation movement, to help with maybe perineal care, toileting, maybe to assist with toilet pan and do all those things, bed making, mainly and majorly activities of daily living. But if you have the right experience, if you have the right knowledge, you have the certification for that, and the policy accepts that, fine and good, in the place that you work. Different organizations have their different policies, and different countries have their different policies. If you are in Europe working as a CNA, it is different from if you are, like we have CNAs in UAE. The CNAs we have in UAE, they are not authorized to give injection. They are not. So primarily, under your scope of practice, administering injection is not part of it. But sometimes you can do that if you are given the opportunity to do that if you have the right knowledge and under proper and due supervision by the registered nurse, because that is not your own, it doesn't fall under your job prescription on a fine day. So that is it. I don't know if that has answered the question you asked.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Thank
you.
you.
Madam Mildred, okay, I'll take you before Mercy. Madam Mildred, sorry, I have seen your hand, but I wanted to finish what I was saying. Mildred, please.
I think you've finished. You've talked about everything. Actually, you asked a question that if we have any contribution and all that, what we have experienced. I think you have virtually said everything.
But I have not said your experience, Mildred. So can you share your experience? I said everything, but did I know your experience? I did not say your experience. Oh God.
Yeah, no. I said you have mentioned it because you said during your course of lecture, you said how that the way they treat patients in different hospitals, the one you have also experienced, you understand that they don't treat them well, treat them anyhow, and they don't really care. Like the example you gave of somebody urinating on the bed and the woman was spoken to in a very shabby and bad manner.
Yeah.
The person taking care of her was not emotional, seeing a sick elderly woman that she's supposed to care for. So I think that majorly that's what we see. That's what I see every day, different hospitals. And I've had cause to ask some of them questions. Is it that you don't have flair for this job? Because people go into the practice because they feel, if I go to America, I'll earn a lot of money. I go to UK, they're paying
correct, yeah.
$1 and you don't have passion for the job. Why do what you don't have passion for? If you're not a sympathetic person, if you are not somebody that is emotional, the health sector is not for you.
It's not for you, my dear. Thank you, Mildred.
I will have a lot of them like that. Thank you, ma.
Thank you, Mildred. Thank you for sharing that with us. See, I love to hear people share their experiences. That's just true. That's why I started by saying what has actually inspired us to be this CNA, because I tell you, it's not easy. It's not a walk in the park. Like I like to say, it's not a walk in the park. So you just need that particular passion that will drive you in a place where no other thing will drive you. Let the passion drive you to do what you have to do. Thank you, Mildred. Okay, Mercy, please, the floor is yours. Mercy.
Ma?
Yes,
I'm here, ma.
Hand was up. I saw your hand raised.
Hello, ma.
Yes, Mercy. Did you want to ask a question? Please go ahead.
I want to ask another question. I was the one that asked for the ejection jokes now.
Okay.
And I want to ask another question.
Please
Are
do.
the CNA authorized to go to the theater with a patient?
Okay.
Do they have a job in the theater?
All right. Now, it is like you want to cook. I want to give you an illustration. It's like you want to cook in the kitchen, Mercy, and you have a daughter. I'm just giving you an illustration. You have a daughter. Your daughter can come. You can tell your daughter, please give me this. Give me the pepper. Give me that container of salt. I want to do this. Give me this and give me that. You can do that. So why am I giving you that illustration? A CNA is not supposed to do anything that regards maybe surgery or anything, but the CNA can assist in the process. Very correct. Can assist. What do I mean by assist? Because if there are not enough hands, or the hands there can come out, we have people that attend to nurses. We have a lot of surgeons. We have a lot of people that work there, while there is surgery going on. So maybe they can open the door and maybe want a particular card or want a particular folder, or say, get this for me or get that. But originally, they are not expected to be inside the room. They are not expected to be in there when surgery is going on, because they are not trained. If they're inside there and you say, give me this, they're not able to give you, or which kind of assistance will they give you when they don't have the necessary training? But again, there's something I want to say. When we get to professional development, you'll understand why I'm saying this. there are people that though they are CNAs, but they major in particular fields. That's they have extra knowledge. For instance, a CNA that is a geriatric maybe has a certification in geriatric nursing, or that has learned how to handle elderly people as a specialty, has gotten certifications in that regard, has upgraded. Now that particular CNA can relate better with elderly people. And that CNA will be considered a specialist in the field when they are dealing with elderly people. You see that a general and maybe just an ordinary CNA, what I mean by ordinary is a CNA that doesn't have any special area of specialty, just as like we are now. You can serve in any field. You are not a specialty, like you are not a specialty in a particular area. Now, you can work in any place, but we have specialists, just as we have surgeons, we have neurologists, we have this. But in their own case, CNAs, you can have that knowledge. If you have that knowledge, get that certification, it will boost you such that it will be easier for you to interface with a surgeon or somebody that deals with elderly people. You will understand the language, you speak the same language, you readily be available to assist when the need arises. And of course, areas of specialty, when you get additional certification to make you, to distinguish you as a specialist, you can work with anybody depending on your area of specialization. That is what I'm trying to say. So overly, it is not your duty to be inside the room when surgery is going on, but you can, behind the scene, assist in giving anything, in doing anything, in documenting anything, or getting any file, or getting any information outside that will help the people that are actually carrying out the main surgical process to move on and do what they need to do. So I don't know if that's okay. I can still see, okay, Adeswa, Aigbe, your hand is raised.
Okay, ma. I wanted to ask the difference between a nursing assistant and a caregiver. Is there any difference?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
There is a difference. There's a very big difference. Now, though their duties are similar, but it's not the same. It's just like a certified healthcare assistant. I had to answer that question a couple of times. A certified healthcare assistant and a certified nursing assistant, they do almost the same duties, but there is a difference. There are slight differences. That's why you see most their course outlines are almost the same, but you see some slight differences. Now, because you asked me for a caregiver and a nursing assistant, now a CNA is more like a nurse, even though it's not a nurse. The nursing body is regulated. The nursing work is more of a more confined professional work. You deal with the clinical duties. What I mean by clinical duties, you work in the hospital setting, you deal with these patients in the hospital, you work with the doctors, with the nurses, like that in the hospital setting, in a restricted, regulated setting. Because you can decide to progress from being a CNA to a nurse, to a registered nurse or a licensed practicing nurse or any of those ones. So it's more like a hospital thing, it's more like but a caregiver, you can work in anywhere. You have a broader spectrum. Okay, let me use that word. You have a broader spectrum. Why? You can work on your own as a personal caregiver if you have the right qualification. And you can be hired maybe to take care of an elderly person at home, in the person's home, residential facility, or you can work anywhere. It's broader. And your duties could extend to maybe shopping, could extend to maybe household, could extend to maybe dressing up your clients at home, going to shop for food, for foodstuffs, doing other things. Your duty is broad. I don't want to use the word house help because that's not right for me to use it. I cannot equate it, but I want you to see it more like that. In the hospital, is more of an official thing. When you are a CNA, you work within the confines of the hospital, do the normal thing, but a caregiver is broad. Someone can hire you, take care of my child that is maybe having schizophrenia or bipolar or whatever thing. You stay and take care. Includes the emotional aspect, includes you checking the food the person eats, includes you even maybe shopping for the person, includes you doing anything that will help build the person emotional state, includes you bonding with the family of the person or the person you are taking care of, and a whole lot. It's a broader thing. And you easily, when it comes to you getting maybe opportunities, you work more or less independently. In most cases, you can do that. But a certified nursing assistant, you report directly to a registered nurse. You play more of a supportive role and you work within a regulated and licensed setting in the hospital and the hospital practitioner. So I don't know, I mean, the hospital and what goes around in the hospital, that is for the nurse, just as a nurse is. But a caregiver, anywhere you move, anywhere that the need arises for you to render care, take care of an elderly person, it could be a residential facility, it could be in a nursing home, it could be anywhere, you are just there to render that. So you see, it's more official, it's more formal, it's more regulated, it's more restricted, the nursing thing, but the caregiver own is broad. It gives you more opportunities and you can equally work on your own. That's be your own boss. You understand? So I don't know this one if that is understood.
Yes, ma, it is. Thank you.
So that's just the difference. Nurses are highly professional. It's a professional thing. You understand? But caregiving is a professional thing too. But it is it's anyhow. Somebody will say anywhere belle face. Let me use that. I'm not supposed to say that, but anywhere, just as it goes, you have more opportunity. Anywhere they need your services, you can just, but the CNA is restricted because you cannot on your own be doing those things. You must be supervised by a licensed nurse, a registered nurse. Very important. So that's the difference. Flourish, did you have something to say? Our break time. Okay, maybe we'll stop at 7:40. Flourish.
Ma,
saying something.
I want to ask, what is the difference between a certified nursing assistant and auxiliary nurse?
All those questions, these questions that we are asking here, they are questions that I've answered countless times in the group now. I've answered that in the group. Okay, I had already answered that in the group, but nevertheless, an auxiliary nurse, a certified nursing assistant, if you look at the hierarchy of the nursing thing, a certified nursing assistant is higher than an auxiliary nurse. That's one. Has more responsibilities, broader scope of duties, scope of practice and duties than an auxiliary nurse. An auxiliary nurse, though a nurse, but has to, I don't know how to explain it, it doesn't have the same free hand and maybe the same broader duties to actually carry out the duties of a CNA. An auxiliary nurse is just like the starting point. I don't know how to put it. It's just like someone that just finishes university and you want to learn one or two things. But the certified nursing assistant is higher when they are placed in the nursing hierarchy. It is the auxiliary nurse, the certified nursing assistant before you get to the RNs and the LPNs and the LVNs and the higher nurses. That is how it is ranked. So even though they are both nursing, foundational stages of nursing, the CNA has a broader work duty, does more duties, is more knowledgeable in terms of scope of work than the auxiliary nurse. And if you check in the group, I think I did that explanation. I did a very detailed one between the two, a lengthy one. But if you are not satisfied, I'll still have to forward it and put it in the group so that any other person can can see it in the registered participants group. So I think that is that, Flourish. If that's okay. I don't know. I keep calling you Flourish, but I have forgotten your name is Mercy. So pardon me. Okay.
My name.
So, your name is Mercy, I guess.
Yes, my name is Flourish too.
Okay. So I like Flourish. Now let me go with Flourish. All right. I think we should have our break so that we can stretch our legs. But I'm still seeing hands. I just would love to take the two hands, the two questions. Then I would someone is Okay. All right.
Very
Mildred, I've seen Mr. Matthew. Thank you, Mr. Matthew, for clapping for me.
Yeah,
That's
sorry, ma. Before you go, man, let's just round this up by 8 o'clock, man, please. Someone is asking, can IVF also be grouped under tertiary care? And I see that there has not been any response to that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have actually checked the chat box. Okay, let's see. That's can what? Please let me, can you help me rephrase that question? Because I'm trying to look
Can
for it. I don't know
can
where you said it was.
IVF also be grouped under tertiary care? And me, I don't know the meaning of IVF, sir.
IVF. Okay. That's in terms of okay, I get what he's trying to say. Of course, if you are actually going to get IVF, you are not just going to do, I don't know the procedure of that. IVF is mostly for children that, for women that maybe need to have some form of implant into them for conception purposes. So they will not just allow you to stay, to come and go. You cannot be an outpatient. So of course, you are going to be in where they have to carry out a form of surgery to help you impute the sperm or whatever to help you hatch the eggs that will produce a child in you. So I think it should fall under the tertiary. Yes, it should fall under the tertiary because carrying out IVF involves a lot of equipment, involves a specialty, involves serious specialty use of equipment to, if that's the same one that we are talking about. Yes, it involves using the equipment and trying to see how to help hatch the eggs and so on and so forth. So I don't know if I've answered that person's question, but at this point, please, then we'll be back. This is 7:43, so we should be back at most 8:05 to be back, so we can take what we have. Please, is that okay by us, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, it's only okay by 2 people. It's a
Yes,
problem.
it's okay. It's okay.
It's okay.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Let's
Thank you.
just be back by 5:05. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am. Foster. Many Adila. Madam Dora Bayon. Katana ga ingo. Iho yam. Lo let me see your face. Nimi ko hiya gano ko ya pe blago.
She said she wants GT. ṣáyé ò ní máa bọ̀ wá sí mi.
All right. We should be back now from our break. Hello, everybody.
Hello, ma.
Okay.
Hello, ma.
Thank you for being back.
We're here.
Miranda is present.
Thank you for coming back.
Hello.
Okay, let me take attendance. Let me take attendance so that I'll know the people that are present, that are back. Let's see. Okay, Fumi. Gifts, promise. Promise, how I can hear the voice from your background. How are my people doing? How are those our little people?
They are very well, ma.
Okay. Regards them. Thank you. All right. So we're supposed to have come back exactly 5. Okay. Gift cents. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you. Let's get back down to business because we still have the second module and possibly we'll just see how to get here. I wouldn't want us to exceed 9 o'clock because we need to rest after having a hectic day at work. We need to rest. So it's nice to have you back. I'm sure we're able to stretch a little, grab a cup of water, and then back here, stretch our legs a little. Okay, we want to continue from where we stopped. We're practically looking at the pictures that's our duties as certified nursing assistant. We have a lot of things to do. Ambulation is inclusive. Like I don't know if I mentioned that. Ambulation, helping with movements around the facility. Around with movements. That's called ambulation. So mobility too, taking care of bathing, dressing, checking vital signs, like you can see there. Documentation after checking. Documenting results as we would see, checking like you can see. They're also helping with mobility, conveying transfers too, from the bed to the wheelchair transfers, how to move them properly, the proper techniques, and a whole lot of things that, God willing, we are going to see how to learn it as we progress. So we have the practicals especially. So it's important for us to know our duties, our roles, so that we can be able to perform well. So we want to look at the next module. This is a little bit faint, but I think we can still move around it. We want to look at this particular module. Please, are we together? Lois, can you hear me now? Is Lois here with us? Lois? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, I wanted to confirm because you were asking if we were on break. We actually took a short break, and normally before we do that, I used to inform everybody even before we started. I did say so, and when it's that time, we'll take the break. So maybe you didn't hear when I actually gave that information. Sorry for that break. Okay, so we want to look at ethics and professionalism. This is another very important aspect because lack of us being professional, lack of CNAs being professional, nurses, doctors, has cost many people in the health field, has cost their jobs, has cost them a lot of. So today we want to look at ethics and professionalism. Like we already know, in every field, there are ethics. In every field, we have ethics. Be it a VI teacher, if you're a lawyer, whatever profession, whatever you do, there are ethics that govern each profession. So that's how it is in the certified nursing assistant profession. We have ethics. And of course, like I said before we went on break, the nursing profession is highly regulated. You need to exhibit a high level of most of this professionalism, and ethics. You have to be on your guard, because any little thing can cost you, because you are dealing with human life, because we are talking of health. So we want to look at these circles you have seen is practically professional ethics. And when we talk about professional ethics for nurses, for CNAs, for health workers, we can divide it into three three major groups for us to understand. We divide it into three major groups. And ethics in healthcare simply involves you understanding what is right and wrong in patient's care. No two ways about it. That's just what ethics mean. Understanding what is right and what is wrong in the course of you carrying out your duty as a CNA in the health field. While professionalism talks about the behaviors and attitudes that reflect the standards of the nursing profession. So both of them are very important. As you interact, as you CNAs, you interact directly with patients. So it's important you uphold your ethics and you are professional in everything that you do. So now let us see how to break them. We are going to take time to break them. If you have questions, please put in the chat box. I'm going to be checking all you ask, or you can go ahead and just pause or raise your hand. I'm looking at the hands. Any hand raised, I'll pause and allow you to talk. But we are going to be interacting because this is practical. I'm going to be asking you questions and you give me feedbacks as how to handle such situations. Okay, so we have the principle-based ethics. Principle-based ethics that is based on principles. That's what principle-based means. Ethics that are grounded in fundamental moral principles that guide actions in healthcare. Those principles that guide your actions in healthcare. Okay, and under this principle-based ethics, it is divided into four principles. We carry these principles and we dissect it into four. Now we want to look at this four. Remember, there are three. 1, 2, 3 in this circle. So we want to look at the four principles that we are putting it into. Good. Now we have the first principle as it is on the slide that we can see. 4 key principles are often referenced when we talk about principle-based ethics in this certified nursing assistant profession. What are the 4 key principles? 1 is autonomy, principle of autonomy. Respecting a patient's rights to make their own healthcare decisions. That is autonomy. In the course of you carrying out your duty as a certified nursing assistant, do not forget, I know we'll get to the patient skills, to get to other things. So as you continue the training, you are going to find out that most of these things are interwoven, they're intertwined. And when you see them reoccurring more than once, understand that it is for emphasis. That means those particular ones are very important. They are very important. Hence, the reason why we should understand how to go about this. So 1 is autonomy. You must respect your patients. You must. There's 2 ways about it. You must respect their own decisions. Do not say, because you are in charge, you are the certified nursing assistant here, and so you have to be in charge of the decisions that is made. No. Your patients, regardless of the state that the patient is, they have a right to their own health decisions. They have the right to make their own decisions. That is autonomy. For instance, I'm going to be giving you illustrations now. For instance, if a patient refuses to take a treatment, maybe the nurse had administered, or he or she is supposed to take a particular medication at a particular time. Remember, you are not supposed to. On a very fine day, CNA is not supposed to administer medications or even give injections, like I said earlier. But it is your duty to ensure that that patient is actually given that medication as at when due, or the patient takes the medication as at when due, or the nurse, it is part of your duty to keep reminding the patients. If it is a drug that was given to the patient to take, maybe the patient is supposed to administer that drug by himself or herself, then it is your duty to ensure that that patient takes the medication as at when due. That is one of your duties. So, for instance, if the patient refuses to take the treatment, you, as a CNA, you should respect that choice and ensure they understand the implications. Now, you should respect the person's choice. Don't say, because I'm the nurse here, certified nursing assistant here. You must take, I'm wondering why you're not taking your drugs. You need to take your drugs. You must. No. You have to respect. That's the principle of autonomy. We are talking about ethics now in the profession. You must respect their own choices. You must respect the fact that they have the right to make their own healthcare decisions. Very important. Okay, we also have another principle, which is beneficence. That's another principle that is very, very important in the healthcare setting. Very important as a certified nursing assistant. Acting in the best interest of the patient, that is beneficence. You know that when you do this, it is in the best interest of the patient. And that could mean ensuring that the patient has their own medication on time to improve their comfort, or to make them comfortable, or to make them get better. This is very, very important. Okay, sometimes we get to maybe have situations whereby you have to maybe do something and the patient is not maybe pleased with it. You understand? Is not pleased with it, with what is actually happening. You know, you want to force the patient to take what he or she is not supposed to take, which is against our ethics, especially the ethics of autonomy. The patient has the right. Now, you also have beneficence. That is making sure that the patient is comfortable. This is very, very important. Making sure that the patient is comfortable, and whatever is done is at the best interest, or is for the best interest of the patients. The patient has to be considered when you are taking this thing. So that is the principle of beneficence in the course of us doing our duties. Now, for example, like I already said, remember we gave the first illustration. If a patient refuses to take treatment, a CNA should respect that choice. Now, beneficence, acting in the best interest of the patients, which could mean ensuring that the patient has the pain medication, just as you are seeing here. That's number 2. So 1, you have to respect the choice. 2, you have to act in the parents' in the best interest of the patient. Then we have the non-maleficence. What does this mean? Do no harm. Do no harm at all. As you are taking care of a person, of a patient, regardless of the state the person is, the state of the person's vulnerability, do not take advantage of that. Do no harm in any way. You have the patient, you should have the patient's interest at heart. That should be paramount to you. For example, now, let me give you an example of this non-maleficence. Properly assisting a patient in moving. Maybe you need for ambulation. Now, properly assisting a patient in moving to avoid causing them pain or injury. So whatever you have to do, ensure that in any way you don't create harm. Already, this person is already vulnerable, so you don't add to what the person is going to. You don't create any harm, knowingly or unknowingly, in the course of you doing your duty. That's one of the ethics of that is one of the principle-based ethics. That's non-maleficence. Do not create any form of harm. Do no harm at any time. Then we have justice. We have talked about autonomy, beneficence, non-maleficence, and then justice. Now, in this justice, let's look at it. Treating all patients fairly, sometimes and equally, you know, sometimes naturally human nature, there's what we can decide to be maybe partial, or we can decide to allow our biases come into play. What do we mean by biases? There are certain things that naturally come with us, that is a part of us. So maybe if you have to attend to people, okay, you may play favoritism. You say, okay, let me favor this because maybe this patient comes from my place, from the same place as I do, or this patient knows my sister that knows my brother, you know, all those type of things. Or you have one reason or the other, you know, to favor one patient above the other. No, at all. That is very wrong. So at any point, you should provide the same level of care to all patients, regardless of their background or their circumstance, regardless of it. Regardless of the circumstances with which maybe what is actually going on with them. This is very, very important for us to note.
Hello. Hello, I can't hear you. Dr. Dorothy.
I think her network is disturbing again.
I don't know. Can you hear me? Hello?
I can hear you,
I can
ma.
hear you now. I think you went off.
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello. Network has been favorable today. I just pray it doesn't. Okay, so practically that is the principle
I
based.
mean, it's better.
We have talked about autonomy, beneficence, non-maleficence, and then we have the justice. Regardless of anything you do, your integrity should be top-notch. Honesty, integrity, you should not be partial for any reason whatsoever. As a medical practitioner, you don't favoritism does not come in, regardless of the situation. You treat the proper way, as in you attend to the patients the proper way it should be, regardless of any sentiments. I mean, I beg your pardon, not sentiments or any partial kind of behavior. So practically, this is the principle-based ethics. I want us to understand, because these ethics are divided into 4. So let's see the other one. We have talked about 4 different ones. We've talked about the autonomy. We've talked about the non-maleficence. We've talked about the beneficence, and we've talked about the justice. So I don't know if we have any question at this point, or can I go ahead? Do we have any question or any contribution from anybody before we go ahead? Any question? It's quite quiet and no one is talking. Hello? Has my network misbehaved again?
Can you hear
No
us, ma?
question. I can hear you. No question.
Okay, so if you have a question, please ask, because I like to make sure that we are on the same page. Okay, we can hear you, it's clear. All right, thank you. So I can progress. So that is principle-based, based on principle. Respect the patient's rights to make their own decisions. Sometimes we are going to get to the dilemmas. When we get to the ethical dilemmas, you understand what I'm saying. Sometimes you are torn between the autonomy aspect of it and the beneficence aspect of it. When we get to dilemma, you get to understand that. So that is practically the principle-based ethics in this profession. Then we go to consequences. Consequences-based ethics, based on the consequences. If you do this, what is going to be the consequence? If you move out at night, this is what will happen. This will be the consequence. Or if you do this, this is what will result from you doing this. It's self-explanatory. Now, consequence-based ethics is often associated with the outcomes of actions. It focuses on the outcomes of actions. When you do this, there is a reaction. When there is an action, there is a reaction. So either in the positive or in the negative. So now it talks about the rightness or wrongness of an action determined by the consequence. No, this one doesn't have too many bottlenecks. Now, under it, we'll look at maximizing benefit. There is an example here that if a CNA is considering whether to help a patient with physical therapy exercises, now you as a CNA, you may decide to weigh the benefits. You may say, oh, maybe the nurses or the healthcare workers may say, oh, this person needs physical therapy, needs exercises, that will help to improve mobility and independence. Against, doing that, the person may still have maybe potential discomfort. The person may feel, just like when they say do exercises, it's not easy. The end of it, especially if you are not someone that has done it over time, the pain, the body pains and everything that results. So, but you tell yourself, if the advantages outweighs the disadvantages, then let me go ahead and do it. So as much as possible as a CNA, the line of your duty, in collaboration with the other healthcare workers, that's members of the healthcare team, in collaboration with them, ensure that whatever is done maximizes the benefits whatever is done for that patient maximizes the benefit. Sometimes you get to see, okay, let's take a little bit, let's move a little bit out of this. Maybe the real nurses and the doctors that actually maybe diagnose and treat patients. Sometimes you see that they give them some drugs, they give them some medications that may have a little adverse effect on them, that may have adverse effect on them. But having weighed all the pros and cons, they have discovered that the advantages, that the benefits that this medicine would have for this particular patient outweighs the disadvantages, outweighs the adverse effect of the medication on this patient. So that is it. So in the line of making sure this person's well-being is considered, that the patient is well and is well, or the well-being is looked into, the way the pros and the cons, weigh the benefits and look at the disadvantages of the person taking the medication. If what the person stands to gain, if the advantages greatly outweighs the disadvantages, they will proceed to give that drugs, knowing that the disadvantages will just be minimal, it will not outweigh the advantage. So that is the same thing that I'm trying to bring here. I try to make sure that when I explain it, I bring it to the barest minimum. So that for those of us that are not oriented, like so many were asking, I didn't do science in school, I didn't do this, didn't do that, I just smiled. Because the way we do these trainings, the way I trust by the grace of God is for anybody that is, even if you cannot even spell science as a SCIENCE, you cannot. By the time you take this training, you will definitely understand what it entails. This is primarily what this particular maximizing benefits means. Then minimize harm is just the opposite. Minimize harm. Anything that will cause distress, patients, try to seek alternative that will still achieve the desired health outcome without causing severe pain to the patient. This is very important. These are things that we should understand under consequences-based ethics, maximizing the benefits and then minimizing harm. So that is practically that for that. So let's look at virtue-based ethics. Virtue. Your virtue. What do you use? Like they said, virtuous, the virtuous woman. So as a CNA, you have to possess virtue. You have to have quality. You have to have things that will endear you to things. You have to have that amiable disposition, those smiles on your faces. You have to be a jolly good fellow. Like I tell anybody in the health field. And many situations I get to see nurses, I get to see people in the health field that actually are working to help people get better. But so now that even the faces they put up, even their disposition alone can, instead of reducing the challenge that patient is facing, increase it. Further, see someone can even go to the hospital, minimal illness, but in the course of that, just one attitude of one of the practitioners, especially the ones that liaise with them more, like a CNA or whatever, a nurse that actually liaises with them. Just the position, the attitude, physiognomy of the face alone actually helps these patients alone, even increase the challenge going to the hospital with in the first place. So these are some things. Virtue has got to do with character, has got to do with what you have, has got to do with a whole lot of things. And this one, among the ethics, I really, really use talking about this one because I've seen it. I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly. I have seen people that are actually amiable, and I've seen the exact extreme of amiability. I've seen it all. So sometimes, like when I see the way patients are treated, when I see the way they are in government hospitals, when I see the way that these people need your care, that actually need your trust, that actually believe that I should be in safe hands. This is the best place I should be concerning this illness that I have because I know I'll be taken. But they are going there. The reverse is actually the case. So important that we have to ensure that we have that attitude that will speed up a patient's recovery. That attitude that will make a patient feel is a place away from, is a home away from home. Like there is a home away from home. So it makes the process easier for them because they have a shoulder they can lean on, because they understand that they can always, because they understand that they are comfortable and they can trust you. That is very passionate in this CNA work. You need to be compassionate. If you notice that a patient is feeling lonely, that no matter how much we stay, even if we are going to take the training for one, it will naturally be innate. That's what I mean by innate. There are things that you by yourself as individuals should try to cultivate them, should try to have it as a part of you, no matter the talking. Because when it is there as a of you, it just comes through all the time. You don't need to make it come through. It just comes through because it's a part of you. So if you see this patient loneliness, they sit and talk. What you can do is to sit and talk with them. Some people just need to discuss with you. That's all. Some people just need to know that there's some there that they can always reach out to you. That's all. It will make them better. It will make them feel secured. And you cannot, in the therapeutic the advantage that it can have, how therapeutic it can be on this patient. Very important. So compassion, we cannot overflow these things. Integrity, you must have high integrity. High integrity. If at any point you make a mistake, because we are not beyond mistake, even though you don't make a mistake, you try not to make a mistake when you are dealing with. So, there's a situation like I was trying to say, whereby I had to, that was, I think, 2020, 4 years ago, I had to stop by a pharmacy, buy drugs. So when I went to the pharmacy to get the drugs, someone sold it for me. One of the pharmacy technicians or the pharmacy aides there sold the medication to me, and I took the medication. I came home. Well, I didn't actually look at it, to be very candid. That was, I think, 2020. I didn't actually look at it because I was in a hurry. I just said I wanted this. They gave it to me, and off I left. I'm always in a hurry, so I had to leave. I left. But when I got home, then I met my husband, and then he asked me, "What did you buy? Where is the drugs? Can I see?" Because that always likes to know anything someone swallows. So he now asked, let me see the drug you went to buy. And I showed him. So when he looked at it, he now told me, "But this is not the drug you were supposed to buy. This is not the drug you were given. You were asked to get. This is not the drug." That was when I even had to take a second look on the medication. I was like, "Geez, this is not the drug. This is not the actual drug." I had to get back to the pharmacy. Now, when I got back to the pharmacy, though not a CNA now, but still I feel I'm trying to relate it to this. When I went back to the pharmacy aide there was she was trying to see how to cover up so that the pharmacist will not be aware of the mistake actually made, because it's a very serious mistake. Take, for instance, that I didn't have a husband that will check like that, or me in my normal way. Maybe I just want to be a little bit off. I'll just say, "Oh, give me that medication. Just give me water. Let me take and continue doing what I know how to do best." I would have swallowed a medication that would have cost another thing for me. Why? Because of carelessness. And again, secondly, the pharmacy aide that gave me was trying to hide, but I alerted the pharmacist. I told the pharmacist, I was not saying it so that she would lose her job, of course not, but I was saying it so that it shouldn't repeat itself again. And I expected her to simply tell, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. See, I made a mistake to give to sell a medication that I was not supposed to sell." That's honesty. And the man would have maybe scolded her or something, but she was trying to see how to hide it. So why am I bringing this story? Honesty, and in the course of carrying out your duty, if you wrongly document a particular information, or you maybe administer, if you are actually allowed to administer, depending on the training you have or the certification, and you make any mistake, you're supposed to give the medication to the patient to actually take for herself, and you make a mistake to give the wrong drug for any reason, report to your supervisor. It shows accountability. It shows commitment to the process, to your patient's safety. Don't try to. Integrity is one of the ethics that you need as a CNA. Imagine, for instance, I had taken that medication. I know that is a pharmacist anyway, but still in the health field. Maybe you mistakenly administer the wrong medication, or you give the patient the wrong medication to administer, without checking the content and maybe checking everything. At the end of the day, Imagine what would happen. So it means you don't have the patient's safety at heart. So treat all patients with dignity and regardless of their condition or behavior. Respect. We cannot talk about that one too much. Respect. Treat all patients with dignity. For instance, a CNA should always speak to patients respectfully, even if they are confused or agitated. Speak to parents respectfully. Talk to them with patience respectfully. Talk to them with respect. Don't just behave anyhow. I've seen in hospitals, they talk to patients anyhow. They don't even care how patients feel. You know, they have this lackadaisical attitude towards their work. They are not even bothered. And the worst is in government, some, I must emphasize that some, not all. In some hospitals, they don't care. Maybe if they are owing them salaries, you know, all these things that come with, maybe they are owing them salaries and they are not paying them what they are supposed to pay them, or maybe they have one issue or the other, and then they are transferring these things to the patient. You can imagine what is going to happen to people that are vulnerable, that are actually in your care. The different ethics that we need to as professionals in the field. Now we have pictures of CNA uniforms. We call them scrubs too. It can be purple, it can be blue, it can be lilac color, depending on the facility and depending on where you work and the country. They have their own colors. The colors are not cast on concrete. It depends actually on where you work. Okay, so now there are so many things. This we are just going to run through because they are self-explanatory by themselves. It's still part of the ethics and professionalism that you should treat all clients equally. Very important, with compassion and respect. Take note of their dignity, inherent dignity, their worth, their unique attributes, race, regardless of religious affiliations, because some of us already biases. We say, I'm a Christian and this patient is a Muslim. No, and you know, I am straight and this person is gay, or the patient is a lesbian, or the patient is a bisexual, or you know, all those things. We have a lot of bias. These things are natural. They just come with us. We just develop them and have certain hatred towards some set of people. In the line of our duty, regardless of where you find yourself, there's a reason, especially for those of us that wish to maybe actually function as CNAs outside the shores of Nigeria, you know. So you have these things. Go away with your biases, just pocket them and see everybody as humans. Humanity is what you should have in view. Humanity, very, very important. Okay, do not report to work under the influence of alcohol. Okay, that one I don't even need to. Alcohol, don't drink and go to work under the, because you start doing things that are unethical. Then also, your grooming too. When you are a medical practitioner, CNAs, you are not expected to carry your hair, you know, like we want to slay. Women now, you know, we want to slay. That process of slaying and looking good, you should understand that we should only dress and do the things that fall within our ethics. You shouldn't carry hair that is very long, you know, and then as you turn your hair, maybe you want to help a patient carry something, the hair is the one dragging you, or the hair is the one following the patient. No, you should be well groomed. You should dress well. Keep short nails, very short nails, because germs inhabit under the nails. They stay under the nails. So you have to ensure that you maintain your nails short, you dress well, and then use of perfume. I tell people that don't combine all the perfumes in this world. As nurses, as CNAs, you are asked to use anything mild. Doesn't mean you shouldn't use perfumes, but you can just decide to use something that is mild, you know, because you are dealing with patients, people with different issues. You know, so there are people that could get nauseated, people that could have one issue or the other when you are moving with pungent perfumes or things that are really pungent like that. So these are things that you need to know. Alcohol, you make any mistake, report promptly. Don't be concerned about the job or no job. Your paramount interest should be the safety and the welfare of your patients. Okay, I am really talking overly, so I need to ask. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, please, I can hear
you. If you have any question, please do ask. I like to hear. Today is the first day. Normally, the first day used to be like this because we take a lot of time, about 20 minutes or so, for the preambles, you know, to do the normal introductions and all that. So we'll be a little bit behind time today. I really plead and crave your indulgences. Just maybe 5 minutes added or 10. I'll try to make sure that I don't keep you for too long. But from tomorrow, we'll adhere strictly to the time because we don't have the preambles anymore that will take our time. So please and please just bear with me for today. Thank you. So, as we were saying, it's good to be positive, to be professional and tactful. Talked about that. Keep every information about your patient and family members and families, the patients and their families, confidential. This is important. Keep every information confidential. In this era of social media, you know, that you will talk. People have actually had issues because they lose guard of what they are. They talk a lot about their patients. Patients' information should be strictly and highly confidential. That's very, very important. Strictly and highly confidential. We are not supposed to divulge patients' information anyhow unnecessarily. No, except to the healthcare team, people that are actually involved in the care process. Very important. Okay. Again, what we are supposed to do when we are, aside that, practicing good health habits, I've already talked about that. It is very important that we practice good health habits. Our teeth, our nails, everything about us should be top-notch because you are expected to showcase, to be the way you would want your patient to be. All right, so that having been said, I think these ones are self-explanatory. Follow all facility policies. Different facilities have their policies. I still emphasize what goes on and is obtainable in US is not obtainable in UK. It's not. What is obtainable in UK is not like that in UAE. So every countries have their different policies. Then facilities, now you narrow it down to facilities, health facilities where you work different, they have their own policies. So once you get there to work there, you look at the rules, you look at the policies, you follow the procedures that are already laid down and you align them with what you already know, so that you still be on top of your game and you still give them your best. Do your duties responsibly and to the best of your ability. Be communicative, have effective, we'll get to communication skills, have effective communication skills. Listen to other people. Let the world not revolve around you alone, that your own should be like this, it should be like this is how I want. No. Interact with people, discuss with people, learn from people, and overly be friendly and be a jolly good fellow. That is just it. So quickly, let's look at ethical dilemmas. Now, this is where I want us that we are going to, if our time runs out, we would have gone to the next module, which is anatomy and physiology. But however, if our time runs out, we may carry that forward. But for this part, this particular point is very important. So I'm going to really stress on it. Now, ethical dilemma CNAs face. Like I told you, being a certified nursing assistant is not a walk in the park. It's not just moving fresh air, feeling funky, feeling happy, and in the park, everything jolly. No, it's not easy because, of course, you are going to be faced with certain bottlenecks. But what will keep you moving and what will bring out your best is the passion that you have to do this job and you having humanity in view. Very important. Don't forget about that. So there are different ethical dilemmas that we have, different that CNAs are likely going to face. And what are these ethical dilemmas? Sometimes it would be difficult for you to be able to balance between autonomy and beneficence. Remember I said something like that. It is difficult. Because why is it difficult? Because at the same time, even when I was talking about it, I know some people will be saying, oh, doctor, I wonder why doctor is saying, how will I be able to ensure that I allow these patients to make decisions? And at the same time, I also ensure that I take into consideration anything that will bring safety, that will contribute to the well-being of the person. What if this person actually wants to do something that is not good? It's just like, for instance, a patient wants to smoke. Let's take, for instance, a patient that has maybe issues with the liver, or maybe is ill, sick, and then the patient wants to smoke. And you know that that's the patient's decision. He wants to smoke or she wants to smoke. But you know that allowing that patient to smoke at that point in time is not going to come out well when we talk about beneficence as one of your ethics. So what do? You have to balance it. That's where the dilemma comes into it. You have to balance it. And how do you balance it? That's what we are going to be looking at. How do you now balance this autonomy and beneficence? Okay, I just gave you an illustration. In that situation, You cannot take away the independence of a person. I tell you this, and I'm still saying it anywhere. Anything happens in Nigeria, anything goes in Nigeria, anything can just happen and it's swept under the carpet and it just goes under the bridge. But when you cross the shores of Nigeria, you go to countries like US, like UK, there are very stringent measures when it comes to these things, and you can find yourself on the other side of the law if you are not adhering strictly. So at no point should you superimpose your own power over a patient. If for any reason the patient is trying to do something that does not appeal to you, or something that you don't find comfortable, or you don't see as being important, then you have to talk to the patient instead of you enforcing, instead of you superimposing, instead of you saying this is how it should be. Oh, why are you taking this? You were supposed to take this. No. And you do that. No. Because if you are not careful and you don't get it right at the end of the day, you can have issues. You can even have issue of abuse. It can even result to the fact that it is stated that you are abusing the client. That's abuse. So it's important that we get this. So if such things happen, don't forget that you are working with a team. Instead of you imposing what you want on that patient, liaise with the members of the healthcare team. Let them understand. And most importantly, talk to the patient. Let the patient understand the disadvantage of him or her actually smoking. That if you smoke, I don't intend to say you should not smoke, but if you smoke, this is what will happen. These are the chances. This is this and this is that. Talk to the patients. Your communication is important in this job. Without communication, you can go nowhere. And communicate. And of course, if you have built that connection, if the patient actually sees that you have his or her interests at heart, actually sees that you are that shoulder that he or she can lean on, you've actually been able to build the trust between you and that patient, bond and connect, it is easier for that person to understand you. It's just like I like to say, even in a family setting where you have a father and children, parents and children, there is the kind of bonding and connection you have with your child that you can walk a mile into your child's life. That child will readily tell you anything before he or she does it, because he knows, one, you are not going to judge him or her. Two, you are going to understand and explain in a loving way and a caring way to him or her. The parents that shut their children are the ones that don't give them listening ears, that are judgmental. That is how it is in this. Just relate that to what I'm saying. So when you connect with your patients, if you connect with anybody, it's easier for the person to listen and understand what you are trying to say than the one that your face is like this. Maybe your face is, 360 degrees. You are frowning, maybe for a lady, maybe you had issues with your boyfriend or with your husband and you're coming to work like that. Every time you either bang the door, or you don't have patience. Your face alone is like, no, I don't want that nonsense today. That's what is automatically telling the patient. If it continues, there is no way such a person will be able to bond with the patient. So it is very important that you balance autonomy with beneficence. Whatever is the patient's decisions, don't take it away from the patient, but work with the healthcare team to ensure that you build a bond and a connection that will pay off at the long run, that the patient will be able to listen to you. So now let's look at confidentiality and privacy concerns. This is another one. It is important that you keep patients' information confidential. That we cannot overemphasize it. We cannot talk about it too much. In this era, keep information confidential. If any information is exposed or comes out as a result of you, it shows it's a very big red flag. It shows that you really don't know what you are actually doing there in that field. So it is important that, imagine that you maybe overhear a conversation about a patient's condition in the break room. Maybe you hear, should you share what you heard with your friends? Should you say, do you know, I heard that this happened to Peter? Hey, do you know that Paul is even HIV positive? I heard that they were saying that the sister too contacted, all those type of things. Confidentiality and privacy will count seriously against you. You have no right to divulge any information concerning your patient in the line of your duty to a third party, except within the members of the healthcare team, when you need to communicate to them and document what you have observed in the line of you doing your duty. This is very important. Another thing is prioritizing care and workload management. Many times, you know how it is with us when we practically do work. You do healthcare work, and in places whereby maybe there are shortages of staff. Maybe you don't have a shortage, you don't have enough hands to actually do something, to do a particular work, or maybe to take the rounds, to take care of patients, So ethical dilemmas often arise when CNAs, when you have to decide how to allocate your time and your resources effectively among multiple patients with varying needs. So this is another skill that you have to be able to structure your time, arrange yourself in such a way that you'll be able to, at least to a large extent, handle your duties as they come. Now, CNAs are having issues with maybe limited resources. They face situations whereby there are more patients. In some of the government hospitals, there are more patients than are the medical practitioners themselves or the health workers. So it can lead to difficult decisions, as to how to receive care, or, okay, who am I going to attend to first? Oh, I have this problem, I have another problem, I have this, oh my God, I have to attend to over these 10 people. Which one should I go to first? Which one is more important? Which one is more? So you see, that is a dilemma. They also have some issues of competing needs, for maybe one patient needs assistance with bathing and another requires maybe immediate help due to pain. Now it becomes a dilemma on them deciding whom to attend to first, which can create tension, can create ethical tension. Now, even patients too, patient safety, you have to prioritize your care to ensure that patients are safe. You ensure that in the course of you running, rushing, oh, let me meet up time, let me catch up with this one, let me go and attend to the person in ward C, let me move to here. In the course of doing that, you can face a whole lot of things. So it is very important and mandatory that you prioritize your duties and get it right. Now, emotional distress too are moral distress. That's another thing. You are faced with emotional distress. You are faced with moral distress. What do I mean by that? Emotional distress simply means when you are feeling an anxious, anxiety, maybe sadness or frustration that so many CNAs face. It can arise maybe from the challenges you have of providing care over from time to time. It is challenging. It's a challenging work to be a certified nurse assistant or to be a health worker in general. It's challenging. And especially when you witness suffering, in a hospital setting, you witness people suffering, you see people in pains, you see some people even going off to the great beyond before your very eyes. It takes a strong resilience. It takes a very, it deals with your emotions, let me say so. So these are also some things that you face. It can give you stress emotionally. Emotional distress can affect a CNA's mental health and your job performance, leading to burnout if you don't address it on time. These are things that are very important. Addressing potential abuse or neglect too, very important. Abuse. You have patients, maybe you have the one that faces abuse, maybe financial abuse, maybe sexual abuse, a whole lot of abuse comes to people that are vulnerable because people just take it that since people are vulnerable, we can do anything we want to do. We can, maybe elderly people, they don't have anybody watching over them. They don't have people, around them. So we can just have people that go around, maybe abuse them sexually. We've heard of elderly people being abused, being raped, against their will. Some neglect. Their children may just neglect them and say, if it's this part of the world, say they are witches. Say, that my mother, no, they said she's a witch, or that my father is a witch, or the person that, all this type of thing, they abandon them in the hospital, they neglect them. So it's your duty as a certified nursing assistant, because you interface with them more, it's your duty for you to address that potential neglect. And how do you address it? By networking with the members of your team, working directly with the nurse. Let her know that, oh, this patient actually needs this and needs this and needs this. For some days now, nobody has come around to check. She actually needs some very important personal effect that has not been given, and so on. And that love and affection she really needs from her family is not there. So when you interface like that, they will be brought, at least something will be done. They will know that there is a challenge, and how best is it to address a challenge, if not first to actually realize that there is that challenge. So your duty is to ensure that the healthcare workers actually realize that there is that challenge. So overly, in conclusion, ethical dilemmas in healthcare, particularly for CNAs, often revolve around prioritizing your care and your workload challenges and navigating all kinds of stress, emotional. You try to navigate them, do exercises, do yoga, if it aligns with your religion, if your spiritual life, and so many things, because you are going to be seeing many people pass out with before your eyes. You're going to be seeing people that you have bonded with, that you have connected with, that you've become a family member, that you have come to really respect and love. You see it before your eyes as they degenerate, because life happens to everybody. They degenerate, they keep going, and you know that they are going and going very close to their end. Originally and automatically, it's emotionally weighing on you. So these things are things that are all dilemmas, that are things that come like bottlenecks in the line of your doing your duties. But it is important that you know how to bridge the gap between the two, and you know how to meander these situations to help you keep moving, and of course, to perform maximally in this line of your duties. Good. So, let's see. Okay, so we are almost moving to anatomy and physiology, but I don't think the time will be friendly. So now, at this point, having said everything that I have said, like I said, I don't like talking too much. So now I am going to have to ask you these questions, and I would kindly need to have responses from you. Let us discuss. The few minutes we have, let's discuss. Tomorrow, we'll look at anatomy and physiology, because if we want to look at that, it will take us maybe another 30 minutes. And I think we need to rest because a couple of us are from work. So right now, there are some practical questions that lingers around dilemma here. So I want us to rub minds, and I want some answers. We still have some time. I had craved your indulgences and had pleaded that you allow me take just 10 minutes of your time into 8 o'clock. So that's what I'm going to do. So we are looking at some scenarios here. Now, let's take scenario 1. Sam is a CNA, is a certified nursing assistant, who notices that one of his patients has been refusing to eat his meals. And when Sam asks Mr. George about it, he explains that the food does not taste good to him. What should Sam do? What should Sam do? I need us to.
Yeah, I want to try Mildred.
Okay, Mildred.
I want to try.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Well, as to satisfy your patient, what Sam needs to do, from my own point of view, is Sam can ask the patient, what will he like to eat? It's possible he doesn't like that food. So let the patient tell Sam what he would like to eat. Because some patients, before you bring them to a facility, there are some things they enjoy eating in their home.
Yes,
so,
correct.
And when they come to a facility, they should give them that freedom to also make a choice of the kind of meal they want to have. So, Mr. Sam, they should ask Mr. Sam, please, what will you want to eat? What do you like to eat? And it's possible if he says what he wants to eat, if he's prepared, because he likes it, even though it doesn't really taste what he will want to eat it. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Mildred. Thank you for that contribution. So we should ask Mr. Sam what he would like to eat, and then based on that, we'll now act based on what Mr. Sam wants. Thank you, Mildred. That's a beautiful response. Do we have anybody else with any other thing?
Yes, ma'am.
I have an addition.
Taylor, please.
Okay, just like Mr. Mildred said, I actually wanted to say exactly the same thing, but if the patient is not does not want to eat that particular food, or the patient generally does not have appetite, so you have to find out, do you want something else, or generally you do not have appetite? Because if they do not have appetite, then you can then try to relate and talk to the patient and convince them to try and eat for their own health benefits. But if they want something different because the food doesn't go well with their taste bud, then we will now suggest a different type of food, or they tell us what they want to eat. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Taylor. Thank you. Beautiful responses. You see why I like to hear contributions, because I know that we are highly knowledgeable people, and you would help us out. People here are very intelligent. So it's just going to be a walkthrough for me. Okay, thank you. So I heard a male voice. Is that Mr. Matthew that wanted to talk? Okay.
That's Mr. Nicholas.
Okay, Mr. Nicholas. Okay. Please give
Yeah.
us your response before I hear Madam Sarah or Emmanuel Please go ahead, Mr. Nicholas.
Actually, my contribution is almost the same thing. I wanted to suggest, first of all, we know that all patients, when someone falls sick, then anything, even what they like to eat, they will detect it. So the first of all, what you should do is to pet the person, tell the person, okay, just manage this food like this. Tell us what you want. While you eat this one and take your drug, then I will get the other one for you. So that's my contribution. They have said all.
Wow, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Nicholas. Beautiful one. Thank you. All right. We saw the hand raised. Juliet. Uchenna Juliet.
Yes. Good
Please.
evening, everyone. My own is like a question anyway.
Okay.
Like
right.
talking about eating generally. If we have a patient like a diabetic patient, some patients can be so difficult to deal with, and especially those diabetic patients, there are some foods that like carbohydrate food, which is not too good for them because it contains sugar. They're already diabetic. They will insist on eating those kind of food, and by this time they are on admission, probably their sugar is very high. In that situation, what do we do?
Good. Thank you for that. Though we were answering questions, we're contributing, but let me answer that that's still an ethical dilemma that we talked about. For the fact that you are working, you are not working unilaterally, you are not working by yourself, you are working with a healthcare team, then that is where to the drawing board and then think of what to do. The reason is this: you cannot outrightly maybe be harsh on him and say, no, you are a diabetic patient, you cannot eat that. No. If you cannot do that. But what you can do is to let him understand the side effects of him taking that. That's one. And then in the sense that when they sit down to discuss, they'll say, okay, they'll first try to find out why that person is craving sugar. People have different reasons why they don't want to take this, why they take this. So diabetic patients that wants to take that thing, that particular sugary thing, whatever that does not go, that he or she is not supposed to take, the members of the healthcare team can look for alternatives. That's what we talked about earlier. They can look for alternatives that will not have a side effect that will be as adverse as what that person is trying to say. That alternative will also meet the need of having a sugary taste in the mouth, and the disadvantage will not be as adverse as if that person was to take the sugary things that he or she wanted to take. So these are some dilemmas. Do not forget that you cannot work on your own outrightly, and you must understand that that person has a right to make his or her own decisions, especially if the person is still sound. If the person is still in the right frame of mind to make decisions for himself or herself. So you do more of appealing to the person to see the need and the importance for him or her to stop taking those things that has adverse effects, and find out why the person actually wants that. If it's craving for sugar, we can substitute. There are alternatives. If it's for one reason or the other, we can sit down the drawing board with the healthcare team and then look at what best can solve that problem and still be mild, the adverse effects not be harsh on the patient. So I don't know, Juliet, if that's good. If I've tried to explain that to you. Hello,
yes,
Juliet.
Yes.
So that's on our own. If we were actually involved in medical aspect of it, then we'll be able to say, no, this, but because we are not medically, CNAs are not supposed to be involved in the medical aspect, like diagnosing and really knowing the A to Z. So that's why we have to liaise with the people that know. Those ones will be able to say, don't take this sugar. No. Okay, what is the challenge? You have bitter mouth, you want something sweet. Okay, let's see how to give you. This one is better, it will do this, talk around the patient, and with appropriate communication and connection. There's no how. Everybody, of course, wants a good thing, wants something that will help them. So with time, I think they will buy into it. Thank you. So
thank you so much.
You're welcome. Mercy, please.
Ma, it's the question number 2 I'm waiting for.
Okay, so we have heard number 1. So primarily, what is to be done? You have given me wonderful answers. And what should be done in scenario A, when Mr. Sam says he doesn't want to eat that food, is certain things. One, listen and validate. Very important. To people that are vulnerable, they don't take things, they don't allow anything slide. Or you may think that maybe someone is not feeling well, or maybe the person has dementia, or the person has maybe schizophrenia or anything, and you can just know they are very sensitive. They are highly sensitive people. And because of their state, they are on alert to read any meaning or read any signs from anything you do. That is one thing you should understand. So first, you will listen and validate that, oh, Mr. Sam, just as Mildred has said, oh, I understand your concerns. You listen to his concerns, validate his feelings. Maybe he will tell you, oh, that I don't want to eat this food because of this or because of that. It's first and foremost for you to acknowledge that food preferences can affect a patient's willingness to eat. So they may have a different a preference to eat something else. First, you have acknowledged that fact. You listen and you validate. Then explore options. You can ask Mr. George if there are specific foods he would prefer, just as we heard. You know, if there is any dietary restrictions for him. Good. This shows that Sam is attentive to Mr. Joyce's needs. You can actually ask the person. You know, Mr. Sam is the CNA, so you can actually ask Mr. George. Rather, I beg your pardon, I've been interchanging it. So it shows when Mr. Sam asks those things, it shows that he's actually interested and attentive to listen to Mr. George's needs, what he actually wants. And of course, you need to report to the nurse. You should inform the nursing staff or the dietitian about his refusal to eat and his comments on the food quality. Very important, because they may need to assess the situation further or adjust the meal plan to ensure that he receives adequate nutrition. Like we talked about, that's where going back to the drawing board is important, to go and sit down and discuss what else can fit in. Then encourage nutrition, if appropriate. It's important that the CNA, which is Mr. Sam, should suggest alternative meal options or snacks that Mr. George might find more appealing, but he should not make changes without consulting the nursing staff. Again, you work with the nurse, not by yourself. So let's quickly go to number 2. Thank you for the lovely responses. You've said it all. I just had to put the cap on it. But you did a good job, everybody. So now, a patient asks you for help administering their medication, even though it's not part of your duties. How should you respond? Yes, Mercy. Mercy, please. This is for you. You said you were waiting for it, so right on.
Okay, ma. Okay, ma. What I would do if I'm not supposed to administer medication to a patient and a patient asks for it, I will simply just make a way, try to reach my supervisor or my RN, my registered nurse, to consult them, tell them, or ask them that this is what a patient wants and how to go about it. Because under due response, under due circumstances, I'm not supposed to. It's unethical for me to give the medication. So me giving it and it affects the patient, I'll be held responsible. So I have to pass due process by asking my supervisors.
Wow, that's
Thank you.
That's splendid. That's a good job. A job well done. Okay. Thank you so much. That's just A to Z of it. I don't know. I can see another hand up. Wow. Okay. Mildred, you are really good. Go ahead.
Well, from the question,
ask in the CACA. You are really good. You really make us proud, and I hope you would remember to buy my Lincoln Navigator and send it over to me when you get. Thank you. Go ahead.
Well, from the question, it's as if the medication has already been prescribed. What I can see, they say for help administering their medication. Invariably, it has been prescribed already. As since it has been prescribed, there must be a nursing assistant or a healthcare assistant assigned to that patient. So for me, what I would do, I will politely tell the patient, please let me call your assistant, your healthcare assistant, to help administer the medication, because he or she is in the right position to do that. from the question, I don't know. It's as if it
Correct.
has already been prescribed. The patient has it.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mildred. Thank you for that answer. That's a beautiful one. Of course, the medication has been administered. So practically, in order not to, I would have asked for more hands, but in order not to, for us to flock that, so we can move to 3 and 4, and then we are done. Is as good as your response. Mercy is perfect. Mildred, you've done a good job. First, you clarify your role. Sam should explain, that's the CNA, should explain to the patient that administering medication is not part of your authorized duties as a certified nursing assistant. You know, because why it's important to explain is the patient may feel bad, may say, you don't want to give me, or may take it to heart or interpret it in another way. So it's important to clarify that, oh, it's not my duty to do this. I'm not supposed to be the one to give you medication. And it's important to maintain clear boundaries regarding your responsibilities and let them know. Then another thing you can do is you can, just as I think Mildred said, you can offer to get the nurse or the medical staff or the licensed nurse that should actually administer the medication. You can offer to assist as a CNA. Say, oh, since it's not my duty, okay, hold on, let me get the nurse to attend to you, or let me get the nurse to give you the medication. That way, it is better. Emphasizing too that patient safety is paramount. So Sam, the CNA, should ensure that the patient understands the importance of medication being administered by trained professionals. Very important that at least you saying that it's not your duty, that you get the nurse would even help, because next time he or she would not ask you to help with the drugs, knowing fully well that it's not part of you, it's not in your job description to do that. So that's good. So let's quickly look at 3. A patient asks you to help him access their social media account. I want others to contribute, please. I would want Mildred and Mercy, and maybe Taylor, and then maybe Mr. Matthew. I would like to hear. We're about 20 something. We're supposed to be 33 or 34 on this platform. So please let others talk, because I have seen the people that have talked today. Tomorrow, the people that have not talked, I will call them. People that have had trainings know that I call everybody on my trainings. Everybody must talk before I finish all the days I have the training. So please, let's rub minds, because we learn from one another. So if a patient asks you to help him access their social media accounts on the facility's computer, they want you to post a message on their behalf, how should you respond? You remember that you are closest. You are the one that interfaces with them. You do most of the thing. They are closer to you, so they can easily tell you, please, can you just help me? You just help me do this and do that. So what would you do in this situation? Who is going to help us build a cat? Okay, Sarah. Okay, it's not talking. Okay, go ahead.
Hello.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, well done, man.
Thank you.
Okay.
Matthew, go ahead.